Hi, how are you?
Good.
You have a headache from laughing?
A small one.
Edit the one is back. We were rewatching. God, I fucked up. Fuck! We were rewatching. I feel that's a speech impediment right there.
I mean,
I can't say that fast when there's too many R's and W's like next to each other. I get all Elmer Fuddish.
I know. I do too.
Welcome to the VidGames podcast. We're back with the VidGames podcast. It's been a while. But we're gonna talk about some mother flippin' Tekken. God, am I glad we went through Tekken 8 blind. We don't even have an outline for what we're gonna talk about, but like, my God, it's so good. It's good.
It's really good. It's leagues better than Sevens, or at least in how it tells the story.
There's so much we have to get into. Okay, so
I'm just gonna apologize right now if I don't fucking have a single flowing thought at the moment.
we were laughing very hard at the Try Not to
I
Laugh.
was laughing too hard, I think.
It was the Try Not to Laugh 53.
Mm.
So okay, we had a plan to prep for the launch of Tekken 8 by going through Tekken 7 story, and it took a while for us to actually get to. Like, we got to the 7 story mode at like the last second. We were supposed to do it like way earlier.
Well, I still feel like we did it perfect. Like, we timed it perfectly.
It was still really well timed. Yeah. Because we did the 7 story.
Because we had done 8 story just a little after we did 7, and so 7 was still kind of fresh in our minds at the time.
Yeah, and there's some weirdness sort of that with the way the verses starts, because that's the first thing we put out for Tekken 8. So I think I put some I explained it a bit. I'm not sure if we put text on there as well, but we recorded an entire verses on Tekken 8, like day 0. But because it was day 0, and I forget that fucking modern games do this, but when the game is done installing, it gives you enough to be like, yo, you can play the game, but not everything's on there.
Not all the content's there yet.
It's been a while since I've run into that in a new game, so I completely forgot about that, and we went into it, and so
you should do how I do it, where like I when I get like a new game or I'm downloading something, I always have to look in the downloads to see how long it is, and if there's even a split where it shows like,
yeah,
you can this is how much it takes to install it and have it going.
But then the rest of the game's here.
Yeah, then the rest is afterwards. I always wait until I'm like, okay, it's fully updated, it's done. So
well, I mean, I would have. Like I said, it's been a while since I've had to do that, so I forgot that was a thing. So we recorded the verses, and that footage doesn't. I don't think it exists anymore.
The only real existing footage of it is our raw reaction to the intro.
Yeah, which I wanted to keep. That was intentional.
Because we were like, holy fuck.
Yeah, we're gonna get into the game in a minute. Let me just explain this verses away real quick. Yeah, because that happened. There was like, I tried to make the cut as seamless as possible because I timed it just right where we were on a black screen right before Kazuya shows up on the menu. So yeah, it was because that whole versus came out, and it was an okay versus, you know. I think I even won that one.
You did, yeah.
But fucking we go into that, we see there's like barely any modes or anything like that. We go into versus, and we only had like 9 characters to choose from, or 8 or so, because the random in the middle, so I think it was 8.
Yeah, it was 8.
So I took that to go, oh shit, you unlock characters in this one. It's been a long time since. That's been one of the biggest things we've talked about, where it's like, how long has it been since you last had to unlock a character in a fighting game?
Because the one thing that I thought was weird, because I noticed it, was the lack of the modes. Because I was like, oh, there's barely anything here besides the verses or whatever. But yeah, seeing the roster, I was under that impression too, where I was like, oh, you have to unlock the characters again, like after fucking years. No, it was just that was just the whole thing of the game's there, but it's not fully there yet.
I want to say 5 was the last one where you had to do that. You
I
had to
think.
unlock characters.
Well,
I think it was 5.
actually, no. I think 6.
No, 6. I don't think had it.
Oh,
I could be wrong though.
I don't remember. That's how long it's been since we've had since that's been an incentive for players to have fun in their games. But you know.
To have unlockable characters.
Yes, because that was the fucking joy of it all, was being like, oh my god, this brand new character that I can now play as. It's like the beauty of like how we were talking about in our Smash podcast, where we were like, yeah, you don't unlock characters anymore, they're just given to you now. All you really have to do is just play versus.
My back. Sorry.
And you can just go solo into versus, like in Smash, like you can go solo in there and just play, just do like a few random matches, and you'll just start unlocking the characters like there, and it's like it's really boring. But that's only if you're going for like the characters and you're just doing that. But even then, it's still boring and monotonous.
Because they didn't have how 6 minutes and we're already off topic. But to put a cap on the Smash thing real quick, yeah, I know it does suck that they just for a game like Ultimate, like it sort of makes sense. You can't come up with unique ways to unlock everybody when you only start with like 8 characters.
I mean,
but and there's like 80. You're missing 72 right there. Yeah. So but the fact that with those smaller rosters from like Melee and shit, how there were unique ways to unlock characters, that was super cool. And yeah, you can hear more about that in our Smash Brothers podcast that we did like 2 or so years back.
Yeah.
But for Tekken, yeah, that's what happened with that Versus. The original run you're not gonna ever see because it's technically outdated. The one we recorded has all the modes and all the characters on it and everything, so it's a little bit better because we had more characters to actually play as in that Versus. And the only thing we kept, at the very, very beginning was the raw reaction to the intro, because the game itself, getting into Tekken 8, is fucking awesome. And also, again, we should say spoilers for we're going to talk about everything.
I mean, spoilers if you haven't already played it yourself, or
if you don't care or you've already played it, obviously keep listening. But we'll start making notes as to like, oh, we're talking about story mode. Okay, we're gonna drop a reveal, so you better be careful. But that'll be a little bit later. I kind of want to talk about like the main stuff before the story. So the things that we were talking about with 7 and stuff, and see, I didn't prep for this ahead of time. Neither of us did. I didn't like go and listen back to the Tekken, the generic Tekken podcast where we talked about all the games, because I know we had a lot to say about 7, and that we even had a lot to say about 7 during the original Tekken 8 episode when we just saw like a few trailers. We didn't even like play the game yet at that point, because we took part in the closed beta test and we had the demo. So that was really cool, and it was so fucking funny because we were playing with our friend Fez Penguin, who we are trying to get on VidGames. We would like to, but right now he collabs on Destination Mark and stuff every so often. He's in our streams and stuff, but he's a huge Tekken fan too, and so we've been talking a lot about Tekken 8 and other Tekkens these past couple weeks, and so playing with him during the beta test, they had a really weird way of like doing the online multiplayer. It was so fucking bizarre.
It was the most strangest thing I've ever seen for like a beta test.
And I was like, thank God they changed it. And it's so much easier now to play online. Because we did a stream on Destination Mark where we played with him. And some matches were like a little choppy. But I also imagine too, because it's in the UK, so like connecting that, for us being that far away from each other, like for some games, you know, some games are better than others for connectivity, but they changed it is the main point. And that's the thing. That's kind of like the theme of Tekken 8, I feel, is in terms of like a development, whatever, like a video game standpoint, is that Tekken 8 feels like a strong entry. And that's awesome because we were waiting for that. We were also, Fez and I, going over different sales for Tekken games. Did you know that Tekken Tag 2 is the worst selling Tekken game.
I heard that Tag 2 didn't do so well, but I didn't know
Like,
how.
it's still a good game, but the sales, the lifetime sales, are just...
was abysmal.
Tekken 1 did better.
Wow.
That's insane.
That is insane.
Street Fighter Cross Tekken did better. No, right, as of right now...
I know that Tekken 3 is, like, the best one.
It's
like,
not... which one is...
Is 3 currently still the
3
best
is,
one?
like, second or third right now.
Really?
8, like, 8 shot the fuck up there, dude.
That's interesting.
8 shot up there. 2's, like, a little below 3.
Because, well, maybe it was...
I think it was, like, maybe 5 or... No, it couldn't be 5. I can't remember which one is the top selling right now. Might be 2 or... 3 is up there. I know that for a fact.
It's like, because I know 3 is, like... I know that 3 is highly regarded amongst, like, the community as being, like, the best one.
Yeah.
But I think that's also because it was, like, a revolutionary point at that time where, like, Tekken was more fluid and, like, it was very, like, it kind of paved the way for how Tekken was going to be.
They hit their stride by Tekken 3. But, point being, though, too, yeah, like, 8, you can tell... Because of the way how we were talking about in the last podcasts of Tekken, that we regard 6 as like the black sheep, because it was the one that started what we call modern Tekken, with a story mode, online features. The characters were really starting to get changed up in their looks, like all kinds of things. The fucking font we have now for the logo and other shit like that started in that one. Oh, I also, real quick, I just thought about this. Want to correct something I said before in a previous Tekken podcast, where I thought Get Ready for the Next Battle started in 5. They started saying it, the announcer started saying it in 5. It technically started in 4, which I didn't know. Because for some reason I never thought to read the fucking top text. Every time you go into the character so-and-so versus so-and-so, it'll say at the top, Get Ready for the Next Battle. I didn't know that. But yeah, so... 6 being that this kind of black sheep where like a lot of stuff was that we know of for Tekken to be and feel and kind of, now started with 6. Like even the music kind of changed to that EDM style, and everything you can look at Tekken and see now and observe now pretty much a lot of it started with 6. 7 and Tag 2 followed suit with that type of style as well.
I feel like Tag 2 went a bit more harder on it than 7 did, but 7
true.
still went that same direction.
And like we've said before, like 7 just went in really weird directions with like a lot of stuff. Like, as far as I was concerned, the character like epilogues and shit when you're doing their stuff, to get their endings, like they've just been dwindling over the years. Like 4 was fucking peak, and it'll always be peak. 4 was awesome with like the announcer and the cool sketch like style, and the cool music. And then 5, it sort of had that feel, but it just didn't feel right to me because the announcer was different. The artwork was cleaner, and I like that dirty sketchiness of it from the previous game. And then 6, the narrator didn't even narrate the fucking, or the announcer didn't narrate the text, and like the art style just looked kind of generic. And then 7 was just a simple, they'll come in doing an animation, it'll just screenshot on them, and then it'll just have the text, and then you go into one single fight with they just seemingly randomly paired up characters together for no rhyme or reason, and then had their ending revolve around said interaction. It was weird, it was not traditional, and I don't feel it was the greatest thing they've ever done with character endings. It's just
Oh no. I don't think 7 did character endings justice, like at all, because it was just really weird. Again, the prime fucking example I will always forever use, Bob versus Brian. Like, what the fuck's up with that pairing for whatever reason? Like, those characters don't have a history together, so it's like, why even pair them up when it's supposed to be Yoshimitsu versus Brian?
For me, it's Yoshimitsu and Leo, and then also you have
I mean, yeah, that too.
What's her name? Is it Joe? I keep forgetting. Is it Josie or
Josie?
Okay, I keep wanting to say it's Rosie, but it's Josie and Kuma. Stuff like that. Yeah, they're just so random. The pair ups are random. And the ones that aren't don't get elaborated on, like Katarina and Gigas.
Yeah, I think one of the funniest ones would be Eddie and Lucky Chloe, just because of how they interact and stuff like that.
So that said, again going back into Tekken 8, I feel Tekken 8 was a very reflective type game because even Harada was saying before we got too many looks even at the game, he was saying like for people asking, are we gonna get character endings a little bit more in the traditional sense, or we're gonna get how many modes we're gonna have, or whatever the case may be. And I remember him saying like we're going to take what we've already kind of established and just kind of like work on them, I guess, was more of kind of what. So point being that I think they were gonna take a step back, which they did, and so they're not the same, but they are flashy again. You do have character epilogues that are they're still called character episodes, but they're more than one fight. Now they're 5. Still not the full 8 or 9 or how many ever from arcade mode, but arcade mode's still its own thing. You fight various different bosses. I don't think any of which we can talk about just yet. Because they're all spoilers, I think. Besides Devil Kazuya. Devil Kazuya, from the trailers, he's a devil, no shit. Everyone knows that, so he's one of the bosses. I think Devil Jin's one of them as well, if I remember right. I think, anyway. But the character episodes feel like character. They feel it feels it's not quite traditional, but it does feel like you have funny endings again. And
I think the best one of those was Kazuya's, just because of that one deep cut reference at the end. It was really awesome. I was like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. I love that they still reference that to this day.
It's really cool. There's so many, if a lot of them. There's still some things I'm like, I wonder if they're going to still touch on this that I was talking about from the previous Tekken 8 podcast, but everything feels refined in this one. Like, from the gameplay in the sense that, like, the grab game is back. Mm-hmm. You're not just easily escaping out of each other's fucking grabs. Mm-hmm. What else? Fucking... See, because most characters still feel the same. The fucking new characters we have, and there aren't even that many, like newcomers, they feel great. Azucena's like the best one. Reina's also one of the best ones. But even like Victor Chevalier feels okay, and fucking who else are we missing? We're missing someone. Who else are we missing?
Like the new characters?
New to Tekken 8.
It's just those
Was
3.
it just them?
Yeah.
Okay. So then, yeah. But 2... characters that they brought from 7, the ones that they did bring from 7, they actually gave them more
of a purpose
for me to understand them. Me being only one Tekken player, but I didn't care about fucking Claudio in Tekken 7. I didn't know who the fuck Leroy was. All I see is his like character trailer, and it's just this weird rap with him in it, and it was like structured like a music video, and it's just like, look how cool he is, I'm Leroy, and it's like, yeah, but what?
Yeah, but what's your story?
Who the fuck are you? And bringing them in and giving them more screen time and giving them shit to do, and making them relevant, like, especially the story mode, like, I finally understand them more, and when shit goes down with them in story mode, you feel it, and you're like, oh fuck, like, okay.
Because I already said it before, but I'm just gonna reiterate it because it's still relevant. That was my issue with 7, was the fact that they brought in all these characters but never did
we counted so many. No, we did that. We've had plenty of conversations before doing the podcast. Like, we've been talking about Tekken like nonstop.
Because we were talking about how many newcomers were introduced in 7,
weren't there like
DLC.
14?
Close to, I'd say, like,
new
I think
characters.
It was like 10 or 11 or something like that. But again, I think that's also excluding the DLC or even including them.
No, it was including them.
It was.
It's like Fakumram, Leroy, Lydia.
Fakumram, Leroy.
We legitimately left out Lydia because we forgot about her.
I forgot.
And that's what I'm saying. Some of them were forgettable. Some of them, like, I always forget if it's Josie or Rosie. Stuff like that.
I'll give a bit more credence to the DLC ones like Fakurum and Leroy and stuff because they were DLC. They weren't really established at that point. They were like just introduced for the game for whatever reason. I don't know why, but
the DLC characters also didn't get a character episode.
Yeah, none of them did. But I'm just saying that like I just give them a little bit of a leeway just because they were DLC. That's pretty much their whole existence in 7 is just they were DLC and they were just extra characters. But for the new characters like Lucky Chloe or Josie or Katarina or Gigas, all like the weirder characters, like they're not is the only ones that are really established are like Katarina and Gigas, but other than that, like most of the other characters, even Shaheen, like
I don't know how 7 managed to do it, but like in just bringing them in, giving them a trailer, and then saying here play as them, because of not having that establishment, they feel so not even out of place, but like at this point he's only been in 3 canonical games. I know Lars more than I know fucking Katarina. And Lars, otherwise, for me, for a while there was also a forgettable newcomer back when 6 was still hot.
Was that because with Lars,
like, who the fuck is Lars? Okay, he's another fucking child of Heihachi. The fuck?
Like, with Lars and Alyssa and stuff, like their
Alyssa too. I was like, she's weird.
Because their whole thing was with the campaign mode of 6.
Well, sure,
but that's if you even bother to play it because of how different it is.
I keep forgetting that Lily and Dragunov came in the fucking. They were introduced in Dark Resurrection, and I keep thinking they were in.
I forget that too because for me, my introduction to them was 6.
So I had a huge Mandela effect thing where I was like, okay, well, hold on, am I wrong? Was Lily? Did I first come across Lily in 6? And I did because she was in the console version of 6 along with Dragunov. But they were introduced in Tekken 5, just not the console version. They were in Dark Resurrection.
They were in the PSP version.
I didn't know that shit. And so I've been Mandela affected like so bad with the 2 of them. Dragunov for me is still a forgettable character because there isn't much to him and because he doesn't talk. I don't know what the fuck he wants. I don't know what he's out to do. All I know is apparently Victor Chevalier has a history with him and he likes building little tank toys with Mokujins. That's all I know.
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
Still, and he had a small part in the story for 8, and I'm like, yeah, but
he's still not.
I don't care.
But he still really isn't established because again, we don't know his.
Do people legitimately like? Is there a fan base for him? Like,
well,
specifically
I think
being like, yeah, I'm a Dragunov main.
I think people like his gameplay. There are definitely Dragunov players.
Don't.
There are definitely Dragunov players, but in terms of what his deal is for the story or even just the games in general, it's still like a mystery of sorts where like there's nothing really to go off of for him other than he's Russian or
pretty much.
and that he likes to build little tank toy sets and some shit like that.
So this is how we knew. This is when we knew the game was going to be good, like we've already said. The intro is just Tekken 5.
Oh yeah, that was really good.
When that happened, I was like,
I almost legitimately cried when I
was
saw
like,
it. I was like, oh my god,
we just started. What is this? I was like, peak already?
I know, right?
So that happens, and the references, my lord, we'll get to that later. But again, it picks up where 7 left off with like the fact of okay, because 7 also hit real hard. For as weird as the story mode was, it hit really hard with those moments when it was what we wanted to see, Kazuya versus Heihachi. They made sure if you played Tekken since you were like single digits in the 90s, you're gonna feel it. And then in this one, it's more for if you've been following Jin and you've played Tekken 3 specifically onwards, it's gonna hit. Except the Tekken 2 thing, where that one hit me. But
we'll get to that in a bit.
We'll get to that later. But like I said, Tekken 8 you can feel the.
It's like what they wanted to do with 7, but they expanded more for 8.
Well, sure, but not just that. You can feel that there was this conscious effort of like, all right, let's kind of like rewind a bit, and then like Harada said, let's just see all the modes that people like and what we have, and then just kind of like. This is the part where it's hard to word it. Like, not revert back to how we did it before, but more like take inspiration from how it was done before. Because, like I said, The character endings aren't exactly the way you would still. They didn't revert like, okay, shit. Arcade mode, you do your 8-9 matches and then you fight the final boss and you get your ending. It's not like that, but the way they reworked it, it feels
like it.
It feels like it.
It feels very similar. So that's why I think, and I feel like that's what they try to do with the character episodes for 7, but they just
for whatever reason they just paired up characters randomly. It feels random.
Because it is random. It is random, and it's just one fight. So it's
but like, with 8, like, there's Jin and Xiaoyu. They actually get to spend time together. You have, I'm trying to think of what else. Fucking Lee's. What was Lee's? Oh, Lee goes out, and some of them do sort of loosely. Okay, I wouldn't say they connect, but they're based loosely off of how interactions and their motivations are in the story mode. Like, Lee still has to do with the fact that he's out saving the world and shit in his fucking Violet System suit. And that's part of his new backstory for this game, which is cool. And he still is tied in with Lars and Jin and everyone. He's on the good side. And that's actually really cool. Like, Lee fucking redeemed the fuck out of himself, because Lee, back in, like, Tekken 2, who I thought was also slightly forgettable, was just about, like, oh, fuck Kazuya. And he was always fuck Kazuya, so that's why it's no wonder he's on Jin's side. But, like, back then, it was just, there was a rivalry, and that's kind of it between Lee and Kazuya, because Heihachi adopted Lee and just kind of pit the two against each other, like, fight now for my pleasure, I guess, my entertainment. But Lee was like, well, fuck all this shit, and he never really wanted anything to do with anything. But the fact that Kazuya did what he did, and he's the fucking devil, and he's gonna destroy the world, he's like, yeah, you know what, Jin? Yeah, I'm on your side. But just characters like Lee have just become so redeemable and so, like, defined over the years. And it's really cool to see them get a personality. And the fact that it felt like Lee just kind of I keep forgetting Lee was in Tekken 1. So, like, I keep thinking he was introduced in Tekken 2. But the character endings, you know, Law is back to just worrying about money, and his is fucking funny. His ending is hilarious.
Yeah, I love his ending.
Steve's is fucking weird, and you know, Paul's still late as always, late to the tournaments. Like, they kind of reverted back, and like everyone's like, everyone feels like themselves again, in the sense that, like, they're doing shit you want to see them do. Of course, Harong and Jin are still fighting, and that shit's funny.
And like I said, yeah, with Kazuya's, the fact that they were like, yeah, so his
is like an interview. It's so fucking funny.
It's an interview, but I love the fucking...
He mentions his relationship with June, which is fucking awesome to see. And then, like,
and then at the end,
what are your hobbies?
What are your hobbies? Well, and the fucking wall opens up, and he has a gigantic
shoe collection,
a room where it's just a sneaker collection, and that's where I was like, that's an amazing fucking reference, because that is from one in the manual where it says what his hobbies were. It was collecting sneakers and stuff, like collecting shoes, and so it's like, to see that even now,
to anyone else that'd be random as fucking, like, okay, funny, because he's been talking about serious shit before this moment, but then to us it's like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, it's a deep cut reference that most people nowadays won't even get unless you research
you were there.
That or something.
You research it, or if you were there from the beginning.
Yeah,
Tekken 1, like I said, we weren't there from the beginning, because I started with Tekken 2. I went 2 and then 3 and kept going like that. And then when Vic was starting to learn how to play video games,
mine was like 4.
Fighting, it was like for fighting games, it was tag 4 or 5.
That's why I like with the references to it, and like for the games and stuff, when they would have the music and stuff, I was like, that's where I'm like, I swear to God, if they play any of these songs and it's an emotional part of it, I'm going to cry. Like, straight up, I'm going to tear up. Just like how you tear up with Tekken 2's song, the end credits theme. For me, it's just, if it's a reference to those games, to the PS2 games, and it's done in such a way where it's like, it hits, it's like, holy fuck.
And then there's just cool shit like bringing Tekken Ball back and making it like all dynamic and shit. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Having like a Hazel's core as one of the balls you have to unlock, and having like the traditional beach ball, the iron ball, that's classic shit. So that was...
Speaking of characters that have significance, Zafina.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like,
I like that they brought back certain other characters where they're like, yeah, let's give this one an actual purpose for this game.
For the most part, I say that because there are still some things that I'm like, I want to see how it plays out. there. One of the things I had said before was, okay, so like there have been all these little established things that they've dropped throughout the different games, and then have just straight up never elaborated on. So for 8, I wanted them to do that, and in 8 they sort of hint like we're gonna do something with it eventually, maybe, but they still don't really do anything with it just yet. But with all the setup we've gotten in 8's story that leads into what we're going to talk about by the end of the episode, I want to wait to see how that pans out. But for what we kind of have right now, the morsels we've gotten from what I've been wanting to see personally, it's shit like, okay, Asuka and Lily, they've been fighting forever, but Asuka is a Kazama. In her ending for 5, she heals Jin because he was Devil Jin, and she managed to calm, so she's got what Jun has. Well, now that they're all in the same fucking game, like, are they gonna ever... And in the story mode, they reference her family tree, and they reference the fact that all other Kazamas were wiped out, but she, Jin, and Jun are the only ones seemingly alive from the Kazama line as of right now.
Because that's the thing too that I found interesting was the fact that they still make Asuka and Lily rivals in a sense, but
that is still happening.
But it's not established as like that's their core thing or anything.
Yes.
Like what they've had from 6 onward.
If anything, they're actually starting to learn how to team up a bit more, which is kind of cool.
Which is cool because it's not just okay, they're rivals.
But it's funny too because her initial thing and her whole point for being in the tournament from 5 is that Fang had a weird thing with like
Fang was going around to different places trying to look for like scrolls and shit or whatever.
Yeah, and different dojos.
And he attacked Asuka's dojo and
her father or something.
Something like
but he's not even. He didn't even die or whatever.
No, he just attacked it. He just destroyed it or whatever.
But that was her whole thing. So her beef is supposed to be with Fang. Yeah, and then it just became Lily, and it's like, oh, all right. And they have a thing where she's like they have a special because now in Tekken 8 there are special intros. If you're playing as certain characters that have a history, so they're starting to like really pour into that. And she says like, "Hey, we finally meet." That's kind of all you get with them, but like at least it's something. But my whole thing with Asuka is having the Kazama side of whatever, and she's obviously on Jin's side in the Tekken 8 story, so they've got some of it there. Like they're starting to finally.
It's like putting setting up the building blocks or something.
Yeah.
To advance it more, to delve more into that.
And like with Zafina, how we were saying, you brought her up. I've been wanting to see from her like
just what her whole deal was.
Well, because I know what her deal is now. The more I've actually read into her fucking bio, and how the whole like evil stars collide and shit, and it's like a prophecy, and it has to do with Azazel still being around, and that he's the original devil, and he created the devil gene, which is the truth. And if anything, I want to learn more about Azazel. But there's this whole prophecy, and she has something to do with it, and she had to go to Egypt in 6 and whatever, and all that happens, and that's the story, that scenario campaign, and Jin's there, and it looks like he defeated Azazel, and that's how that happened. But then, of course, she's DLC in 7, so she gets absolutely fucking nothing. The only thing you get is that she found a way to calm Azazel. That part of it's canon from 7, because she's got the crystallized hand. That leads into 8, where then she finds Claudio being an exorcist, and they're trying to figure out how to like subdue that power so it doesn't take over her. But when the time comes, they can bring it back out to destroy it. That's actually part of their endings. That's part of Claudio's ending. Actually, it's technically part of both of their endings, but so it fucking finally comes back around, and it's that shit I've been wanting to see. And I'm like, if she's got all this weird shit happening with her that was established in 7, I want to see that shit come back around in 8, and it does. So that was awesome. Again, very reflective. They said, okay, this shit that we've been setting up, let's start like bringing some of it back in and bringing some stuff full circle, continuing some stuff. So thank you. That's what I wanted to see, right?
Again, just establishing more characters like Claudio. He didn't really have much in 7, other than the fact that he was there for the story for like a bit, and then
and it was because Haji figured that would be one way to remove Devil from Kazuya. Which I didn't fucking get when we first played it, because I'm just like, why is he here?
Yeah, because there's really...
I didn't know who the fuck he was.
Because there's really nothing else much to him other than he's an exorcist. And he's Italian.
And he has the glyphs, and
he can turn into sands.
Whatever his powers are. Yeah.
he's got a sans eye. You know what I mean? But I mean, other than that...
But hey, he did some cool shit in 8.
But in 8, like, there's a little bit more to him, and you actually get to feel for him for once, and it's like, holy shit.
I'm trying to think of what else. Yeah, so the online was improved. I really liked Arcade Quest actually. At first, I didn't know if I was going to because
the Sims Quest.
It just looked so weird for a Tekken game. I'm like,
your fucking origin story thing.
I'm like, this is some fucking like Street Fighter nonsense. What's this doing in Tekken? And then I played it and I beat it a couple days ago, and I'm like, it was fun, right? Like, it's just this little thing of like, oh, it felt like Tony Hawk but Tekken, where like specifically like Underground 1, where it's like, oh, you're just a kid from the streets and whatever, and oh, you enter this amateur competition, but oh, you're getting noticed by some big guys or some people from other more fancier competitions or bigger skate scenes in other states or whatever. They can take you there, and you start getting noticed, getting sponsored or whatever. So here it's like, oh, you're just this kid with some friends in this little rinky-dink arcade, but some people start to notice you once you win your first tournament there, and then people catch wind and go, yo, we've got like in the city down, we've got, a bigger arcade with a big booming Tekken scene. It's all fucking like self-aware. So you're playing Tekken in this Arcade Quest thing, and it's just an excuse to fight a bunch of ghosts and shit.
It's very self-meta.
It's
a little weird.
And so, but it was cool. I mean, and then you can unlock the ability to fight Harada's ghost, which of course he's Fang. And funny enough, I actually didn't lose. I lost a round. I didn't lose the match. I actually beat him first try.
No?
I just lost one round. It was tough, but it was cool because this too, right? So fighting games are doing this now, and it makes sense because it's the FGC. So you've got Evo and all these other events and shit. So the reason why, and it's not lost on me, the reason why Tekken started to change by 6 and shit like that was because, and even Street Fighter got more intense and Mortal Kombat became more focused on combo stuff and hitboxes and all that nonsense, is because of Evo and the FGC and stuff like that. And so Tekken, for a while there, it was weird, right? That Tekken started to finally do what its contemporaries were doing and start going, all right, here's a finisher. Here's shit that makes you a little buffed and whatever when you're like almost near death. Here's guest characters and shit from 7. It was just really odd to see from Tekken because Tekken never did that before. So I couldn't really wrap my head around the fact that Tekken was finally starting to play catch up and do that shit. But in 8, specifically, it's interesting because like I said, Mortal Kombat 1 and 11, X even, I think we're doing stuff like this, but they're getting more involved in it now, and I think Street Fighter 6 is doing it too, where they're trying to help either casual players, even if you are long-term, like we are lifelong Tekken players, but we're still casual. I'm never going to fucking enter a Tekken tournament IRL in my life.
I will never in my life remember Kazuya's 10-string.
But what they're doing now, what these fighting games are doing now, is that they're starting to better find a way to introduce amateurs, newbies, casual players to a crash course, Cliff Notes version of what pro players can already do. So they'll do things like, okay, here's this mode called replays and tips where you can watch matches you've done against your friends or random people online. And then we're going to stop the replay when we see that there's a combo you're trying to do. Whether you were trying to do it or you were just pressing buttons, like whatever. The game's going to read, you were starting this combo, pause. Here's a move that you can string into. Do you want to test that? And then you can say yes, and it'll take you to a little training dummy area with a little like generic man, and you can test out what the move it saw you doing into the thing it's trying to suggest you do. So you better learn the moves. That shit's awesome.
That's exciting to know that.
And in Arcade Quest, Dipper, as everyone's calling him, because he looks like fucking Dipper.
He does.
From Gravity Falls. You talk to him, his name is Max, and he'll tell you, hey, the big bad guy for this mode you're facing is a Kazuya main. However, there are other things I can show you, and it's shit like how to interrupt blocks, or rather how to get through blocks, how to interrupt, how to counter, And they're tutorials, yes, but I did actually find them useful, and they are obviously, depending on who you pick at the beginning, you can fiddle around with whatever character you want to choose in Arcade Quest. I just stayed Yoshimitsu the whole time because he's my guy. But if you stick with one guy, Dipper will start showing you moves and things specifically tailored to that character. So I'm learning Yoshimitsu a bit more because his moves have been changed around since 6. And again, a lot of these veteran characters and whatever, from how they used to play, like, for example, Jack and fucking Kuma and Panda all had in Tekken's, like, 1 through, like, 5, if you press square, 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 they just go smack, smack, smack. And it was always left, right, down. Obviously, that's not going to work on an FGC thing, so they changed that shit. So I realized that's why a lot of veteran characters like Yoshimitsu, like Jack, like Kuma, have had either small or kind of huge overhauls in their movesets. Some moves are the same, some combos are still the same, but for the most part, the main fighting style by just button mashing is different for a lot of characters. So with that in mind, it was actually harder for me to learn Yoshimitsu again from like 6 onward, because he doesn't play quite the same. He has a lot of the same moves, but some of them either are, I think, remapped or whatever else. So in doing those tutorials, not only does it help with Arcade Quest, because those ghost battles can get kind of difficult, but I'm actually learning how to play Yoshimitsu, like modern Yoshimitsu. That shit's awesome. So it does help. The tutorials do help in that sense. And I think that's really cool. And it's all about trying to just show you how to do combos and how to like interrupt shit. And one of them specifically was like, yo, since the big bad guy in this mode is a Kazuya main, here's how you can interrupt one of his moves. That shit was awesome. And I was putting that shit to the test, not just because he had to teach me it and I decided, fuck it, I'll learn it, but like it does help. So it's really cool.
I do like that most modern fighting games are helping out those casuals that are like trying to be on the level with the pro players, but at the same time it's like you still kind of have to learn that yourself, but here's like what you can do with this and that and stuff. Like I get like how you're saying
Mortal Kombat just turns on fucking like the literal hitboxes so you can see like the range of certain things and
you
shit.
Can see the frame data.
No, seriously, that they teach you about that shit. In case you want to learn, you don't need it in order if you're playing casually.
That's if you really want to get into doing
the scene,
if you really want to try to go pro, then you've got all that stuff there. But if you're just casual like us, like
they still have ways that to teach you certain things about that.
Yeah, it's there if you want to learn it, but you don't have to learn that. Like you're not being forced to learn.
That too,
all that stuff.
No, but I'm just saying when they do tell you, hey, do you want to try this? And you do decide to try it, it's actually not that bad. And it helps you learn the characters. Like whoever you're trying to learn, it helps you learn the character, and it's really cool. Because Tekken never really had that before. Maybe they had something similar in 7, but not quite this extensive at all. It's pretty extensive in 8.
Because I know that 7 had been updated a lot to where it is now, but again, I'm not... Because again, 7 was kind of updated to be a bit more... FGC friendly.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why I feel like with how they changed the game flow for 8, they took what they did for 7 and then just made.
Oh, because that was one of the first fucking things we heard. We heard Tekken 8 was going to be more aggressive, and it is.
Oh, it is. It definitely is. If you've seen,
they want you to play offensive.
Yeah, if you've seen our verses, you definitely know. Or if you've just seen gameplay. But it technically started in 7 because of all those updates where like. There's a balance and you can still combo off that and like there's all these things, so really it's 7 technically started it again. It was just updated, but with 8 they took all that 7, and just ran with it and like expanded more on
7's fast paced. I'll say
7's still fast paced, but it's not really.
It's well paced.
It's well paced.
8 is fast paced.
Yeah.
8 fucking feels like 3 and like fucking 5.
Yeah.
That's how fast it is.
Like I said,
when I was binging through the character episodes, you can just fucking start. So you can like, if you don't want to look at all the, because we'll get into that later too. Like there are tournament cutscenes they show you and shit. not the prologues, but like other like the announcer going ham and shit. You can just like go through that, go through the verses real fast, and then do your match, and then be done with it, and be on the next one. It just flows so fast. But you're gonna say I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was just gonna say that they just took what they did for 7 and were like, let's make it faster and better and just expand it more, which they did.
They did a fucking good job because it's a really good feeling Tekken game. Like I said, the throw game is back.
Yeah, you can still get auto grabs a bit easy.
But of course,
it's a little bit more,
but it's nowhere near as absurd as it was in 7. What else? I'm trying to think of other. The heat mechanic is actually really cool because it helps to kind of. Not only is it still blockable, but it does help to kind of
turn the tides of the battle.
Yeah, it's for damage control, and it helps you get the upper hand if you can use it correctly.
It's also It's also really good interruption when someone's trying to
for sure
combo.
There are more things I found out through Arcade Quest. There are more ways to do it, the interrupt shit, than just even using heat. Like there are certain using your heat meter without going in. Without going into heat, without using your heat, what's it called?
I think it's
heat
called,
something.
Like heat
burst.
Okay.
Like that. So without using your full heat burst, you can still do heat like moves.
Yeah,
off your meter.
Yeah,
there that act as interrupts.
Yeah,
but then there are also moves you can do. Like there's one with Yoshi where he can like slide back and then just burst right through you, and that's like I think that like interrupts blocks and shit as well.
Oh yeah, that
shit's insane.
But I mean, yeah.
Or it floors them so you can go into a combo, and the combos are heavy in this game. They want you. You've seen it in 7 if you keep up with Evo shit and all that, but like it's more refined in 8, like we were saying. Shit's insane. But beyond that, like the game just feels fun. It's just not that 7 wasn't fun, but 8 just has so much personality to it. I think that was slightly missing. Was just.
I mean, I would say so. Yeah.
7 still has a good atmosphere around it, but
I think like 6 was like trying to find that footing, and 7 was a bit of a misstep because like again, 7's not that bad.
7 did enough to stay afloat.
Yeah, like 7's not that bad of a game.
But 8 feels like the one that's like, all right, we're focused now.
Yeah. Because definitely 7 lacked that. Like there's. If you looked around with 7 or have played it and stuff, like there's a bit of a lack of focus, and I feel like that's because they wanted to focus on the Mishima shit, but it's still not that bad of a game. It's not
bad is the thing.
I know it's just certain decisions and choices that are very questionable. But other than that, it's not.
God, are we talking about Tekken or are we talking about Smash Brothers 4? It's the same shit we said about
that. It's the same thing.
Except I actually kind of.
I would prefer Tekken. I prefer 7 over 4.
I can't say No, well, Smash Brothers 4.
I know. I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh well, no. Of course I prefer Tekken 7 over Smash Brothers 4. I was still playing Tekken 7 even way before 8 came out. I was just playing 7 in prep for 8. I went back and did all the character episodes. But okay, so this is where we're getting spoilers. I think it's time to talk about the big one. The story mode's fucking awesome. So, okay, the one thing I want to say too, and it leads a bit into the story mode, is that this was the coolest way for them, because we've never seen it before, for them to show off the King of Iron Fist tournament. Because even in Tag 2, because you have your arena stages in like 4 or whatever else, but despite having to kind of like read it and listen to the narrator talk or the announcer talk about it from 4 and 5's perspectives, or even kind of 6, how the tournaments being a sporting event, some are televised, some aren't, some bits of some tournaments weren't, and that's lore related, and actually story related and shit. But then to actually see in 8, like, the fucking King of Iron Fist tournament have its own fucking logo and branding, and the crowd's there, and you've got the fucking promo video things of the fighters getting ready, see them walk out and they're getting ready, and they walk out and they fight. The whole playing the tournament was awesome.
Oh yeah,
that shit was dope.
Yeah.
Because in every other Tekken,
because in every previous game, it was established that the tournament was happening,
and
but
you're in it, and you're playing the game, but you don't think about it because it's not really in the back of your head.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's only really when you're like doing the character endings because it's like, oh, if Lee won, he does this. If Michelle wins, this is what happens.
Because that was the whole point of the arcade modes. Then was like was going through the number of stages as that character, and this is what they do after that.
And in Tag 2, we did get inklings of, okay, because the intro, it's like a sporting event. Everyone's there and the crowd's going wild. That shit's cool.
They saw
but they went harder. They went harder with that in 8. Because then you get to play it
into the story.
And the brackets and shit. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, make that a mode, please. I still want that to be a mode.
I would still like it to be like
because for some reason team battle still isn't there. That's the one thing. If I had something quote unquote negative to say about Tekken 8, I want team battle back. Why did they even get rid of it to begin with? That mode slaps. That's how we do our versus videos in the older Tekkens. Is team battle. Why the fuck would you get rid of a cool mode? Well, if you're going to get rid of team battle as it used to be, reintroduce it through this bracket-like tourney Iron Fist tournament style, the way they did it in 8. That shit would be dope. Like, choose all your characters the way we used to be able to in original team battle, but then after that's all said and done and you enter, you press to start the tourney, they just branch it off. I mean, fucking Smash Brothers, speaking of, has that. It's tourney.
They've had that since Melee, so it's like...
Yeah.
So that's what... Yeah, I would like that for...
Well, how flashy they made the King of Iron Fist tournament in 8. Yeah, do it like that. That'd be fucking awesome.
I would love to see it like that.
That moment was so cool.
It was. I really loved it. Especially more so
when the music... the music dropped.
Also, I want to make a correction on that. One of the songs... What was
the first one was Tekken 5 Dark Resurrection.
Yeah, it was Dark Resurrection.
Then it was Tekken 6. Then it was Tag 2. Then it was Tekken Revolution.
Because I think it was the Dark Resurrection one. I thought it was a different song or something like that.
We just thought it was Tekken 5 in general. Like the character select?
Yeah.
We just thought it was...
And it was specifically from
like
Dark
5,
Resurrection. And I thought it was Console 5.
Yeah.
But it was still really cool. You know? It was still cool.
Again, just picking and choosing random little moments. Picking and choosing random little moments to just reference... They didn't have to frame fucking Raven talking to Victor with the fucking little comm. And they just drop a Tekken 5 reference when he says, hey, Hachi Mishima is dead. It's framed the right way from the intro. The colors on him are the same. He's looking at an explosion. So the explosion, the lighting hits his face in the same fucking way. They didn't have to do that, but it's there if you knew it. If you played it and lived through it, it's there. And you get it immediately, and it's so fucking cool.
Especially more so when you really see the intro and you see the fiveness in that intro where like they show off the characters and stuff and the colored backgrounds and whatnot.
I said it in the verses. I was like, dude, it's just 5.
I know.
It's literally 5.
I think I almost teared up when I saw that because I was like, oh shit.
Because the intro was awesome, and that was even the funny thing, right? Yeah, even the intros were getting weird because 4 is let's see, 1 is really nice, it's good, it's really cool. 2 is fucking peak. 3 is also equally as hype. It's awesome. People probably love that one and think it's peak. For me personally, 2 is peak. 4, really good ass intro, really like it, really love it, love the music, awesome. 5's is right up there, also fucking peak, only second to Tekken 2 for me. And then 6 is like a cutscene thing showing Jin being all evil, and then the characters with not much music. And then 7 is the feud. And then 8's just fucking awesome, and it's My Last Stand. And we've been hearing that song so fucking much. I'm almost starting to get kind of tired of it. I've been listening to it so much, but it's so fucking good. It's so good, and it feels energetic again. And it's just that's what I'm saying. It feels reflective. Like let's make a banger ass intro. Again, because we haven't done that in a while. It's so good.
I hope they keep doing it too because it's really nice. It's a very nice change of pace for how they've been handling the last 2 games and stuff.
Fucking for real. But God, what else before the big shit? Like I don't know. I'm trying to think. What else did we get that was... What other cool references? I mean, I love how it just starts with a Tekken 6. It's called Evil Stars Collide with Chapter 1, so that's already Tekken 6. And then having, like, that whole anime-ass moment.
If there's one thing I really love, it's the self-reference to their company intro when it shows Jin and Kazuya.
They did it twice as, like, a bookend.
From the beginning and at the very end. It's really fucking nice.
And that was awesome.
I was like, I get it. That's their fucking thingy. But it's still really cool. I like that they baked that into the game and stuff like that. And
I mean, we should have started the story mode talk by saying there's no reporter in it.
Oh yeah, no. I was funny because I was like, watch the fucking reporter like come back and it's like some surprise character or some shit like that.
So okay, the thing about Seven's fucking story mode,
Here we go again.
I apologize that the both of us
yeah.
won't shut the fuck up about how we feel about Tekken 7's story mode. But the one thing I thought was cool is just weird how they executed it. It was good in theory. Execution was weird. Is how I said before, I'll just recap. I'll try and keep it brief. We've been playing as Heihachi and Kazuya and Jin and all of that, and they come from the wealthy family, and they themselves are wealthy and yada yada. They've got these corporations, what have you, blah blah blah. You just play as them in the games. You never think about how commoners think of them because they're moguls. They own all these corporations and control armies and shit, and have so many different occupations and people and divisions in their pockets and whatever, and it's always them feuding. What do the people think of them? So Seven tried to frame it like that for its storytelling through the eyes of this reporter. Because he too was fucked over by Jin in 6. He lost his family. So, okay, it's an alright start.
It's understandable, and I find it a bit unique because it's from that public perspective. But again, like I was saying, just the way it was... I think the way it was handled was weird.
It's just weird because it's like... I just want to see them fight. And I want to see more of like what's going on with Kazuya and Heihachi. Because I feel like are you monotonously telling me?
Because I feel like
and then this happened and I got really mad. Like
I saw Jin laying on his bed and I really wanted to kill him. But Lars said no, and I was like, "Fuck." But
8 just throws you into the action. The fucking first battle feels like it's a final battle. There's immediately shit like the flashbacks to 6 and Jin already like, I know what I need to do, so here we go. And it's more of him like, I mean, it's Jin's redemption arc. I figured that was a path they were going to go down. And we'll get into that later too. The choices I was thinking they could go down for how the story mode ends. Because one of the things that Harada said was, okay, no one's going to die in this one. We just want to surprise players with what we're going to kind of do here. And so that made me go, okay, there's a few options you can do for that, and we'll talk about that later. But like, the one thing I was hearing when the demo came out, it wasn't because the beta test was just, here's a few characters, play online,
have fun.
Help us test, right?
Yeah.
So we can see how the connectivity is. As that was going, after that happened, actually, rather, we had the demo, and the demo included Chapter 1. To make everything blind for us on VidGames, we wanted to wait for the full game to come out, so we did not play it. What I was hearing on Twitter, no one was spoiling anything, but people were just going, dude, this shit's nuts. And I'm like, that's a good sign. I get right? That's a good, that has to be a good sign. I'm like, I hope it's good, because I didn't hear anything about that from Chapter 1. Chapter 1 of 7 starts with the reporter going, I'm the reporter, here's my family. My son drew me a drawing, and I found Kazuya's message. And 8, Jin's riding up on a motorcycle, goes up a building, launches himself off the seat of the bike, grabs the bike, and hooks it over to Kazuya's plane or copter. Brings the copter down. He walks through the flames because, of course, it's not going to kill him. And then they start fighting. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this is fucking nuts for first chapter.
Because what I was gonna say was, as unique as it is, having having a story mode being reliant on another random character's eyes for like from their perspective, I feel like in terms of how they should have told the story of like 7, it should have just been done through the characters like how they did for 8. Because with 8, you don't get a reporter, you don't get some soldier.
It's not
or anything like
there's
that.
no narration. It's not. There
Yeah,
is no like.
There's nothing. There's no character
Storyteller,
to,
character.
Yeah, there's no narrator to be like, this is what's happening and this is what's going on. This is what this character is doing. You just see that shit. You experience that shit. So it's like, if you've played 7 and then immediately play 8 and then you look back on 7, it's like, why didn't they do that for 7? Because it's like. Because again,
well, it's the age-old thing of show don't tell.
Because even in 7, they still have those moments where the characters are interacting. So it's like, why not just take those
and those are the most interesting fucking parts.
Yeah, it's the most as short as they are. They're the more interesting aspect.
The entirety of whatever fucking weird interactions characters have. No, listen. Go ahead.
Because I was gonna say, like, again, with the lead up to the final battle for 7, it's like it would have been. That's what I was gonna say. It would have been way more interesting if we actually got to see
everything that weaves in 7's story, and whatever weird with Kuma and Kazumi and whatever, all that shit just goes back into what we really want to see at the very fucking end, which is Kazuya versus Heihachi.
Mm-hmm.
You play the first trailer at the end of Tekken 8 story mode. Mm-hmm. But everything else that weaves into that, it's all fucking hype. Because it's nothing but action. And it's action with some down moments, more action, more planning, and it's just, it was way better handled. It was way better handled because you get what you want to see right out the gate, like I said. It starts with a Jin versus Kazuya fight. Like, so there's no fucking around. There's no, this is what's going on and what will happen when they collide. No, they collide off the fucking bat. And then you just go. And not only does it go, it was, because that was the one thing I said before. I think I said it after while we were watching the credits. It was well paced.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because 7's was kind of all over the place, and it doesn't answer shit, and it just raises questions that didn't need to be raised at all. Because why did you write it like this?
Because I think we even said in 8 or even in our 7 playthrough, like the story for 7 just feels very disjointed.
Yeah.
Because it felt like they were trying to tell multiple plot points, and I felt like they were even trying to weave in the whole Akuma Kazumi thing, while also trying to still.
It was juggling so much because it has Heihachi and Kazumi's past. Why Heihachi is how he is, then this Akuma shit, then the whole thing of, well, in present day, we've got Kazuya versus Heihachi. Kazuya's still out there doing shit, so it's their feud still happening. It's like chess, where one thing happens, the public sees it, but then this side, Heihachi's side does something to gain the public trust, but then Kazuya fucks something up, and while they're trying to tell why fucking Akuma's there and all this and that, it just makes no sense, and why Claudio's a part of it, but he's not really. Claudio fucking holds Kazuya in place, does the fucking thing, it misses, he does a little hand gesture, it turns back around, and we're just like, oh my god, this is a fucking novella. This is a fucking, like, true drama series going on right here. Like, what's going to happen next? And it just felt like a show. It felt like a movie. It
felt like a story mode. It just felt like a story mode where it's like you get to see, you get to experience that action and stuff like that. And
is Claudio dead? One of the pictures shows Zafina's alive, and there's like a leg right in the like foreground at the edge of the frame. So I guess that's Claudio. Somehow they survived. But yeah, I was like, congratulations, Tekken. You made me actually feel for Claudio.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's what I was referencing.
That shit was awesome.
Because it's like, again, you know,
they give them shit to do. Leroy shows up at the end of the tournament and helps Jin out, like the advice he has as like an elder and shit. Like, it's cool. And so,
and apparently he too has a history with Fang.
I guess
somehow
that part I was like, whatever. Because Fang is also a character that I'm like, I don't really care about him.
Fang's whole
Dragunov is in the story mode for like 2 seconds, and I don't know why.
Fang's whole deal was like, I want to be the strong man or whatever.
Well, sure, and we've seen that in some of his, like in 5, he punches a fucking mountain or something.
Yes.
And so okay, cool, you're all right, I guess.
Because
But
because in canon his whole thing is that
yeah, he wants to get strong.
when he finds the thing he was looking for in the beginning,
Yeah,
it was just words of wisdom, and then he's like, all right,
because I'll
and
keep
that's
looking
pretty.
for fighting styles. What, didn't you want to
That was
master
pretty.
different fighting styles or some shit? I can't remember.
I don't even know, but I know that's Fang's whole deal, and that's I guess been his whole deal.
Yeah.
But I mean, apparently there was even a thing with Leroy and Xiaoyu too. I guess.
Yeah, that was weird because in her character ending or in his character ending, I think it was his.
hers.
Was it hers?
I think it was.
No. Hers is with Jin.
Oh no, that's
obviously.
right. No, yeah. Yeah, it was Leroy.
Leroy's. He knew her since she was a kid, and it's like the fuck. What? How? Okay. So it's little things like that, like I'm saying, it's things they kind of touch on, but they don't really like elaborate on.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the character ending, so it doesn't have anything to do with the story, really.
No, it's just but it's
like I said, Asuka's thing, that was fucking cool to even see her there because I'm like, yes, she was just nowhere in 7.
Even I think even just the decision to finally bring in Jun again and actually explain her and like
that was something even mom was. So our mom also has been there. I'm sure she was the one that introduced me to Tekken. I mean, obviously she had to have been, but she also over the course of IRL, like over the course of me playing all these games, she's been engrossed in them as well, and even she had some thoughts on like how Jin was handled in 8. And I understand where she's coming from because she was saying like if only they were able to kind of sow those seeds a bit earlier and actually bring her in more than just this ethereal like what happened to me. And I understand that was the thing too, right? So that's also one of the biggest things about Tekken 8. We finally got our answer as to what happened to Jun. Spoiler alert for anyone listening who's wants to know in the game themselves. So after you beat story mode, you get an extra little. It's not a character ending. It's
a
more
side
of,
story.
It's a side.
It's labeled as
like a short
side story. Jun Kazama.
Yeah. So she actually won the fight against Ogre back before 3 started.
Barely, but she beat him.
She beat him, and she was weakened. Jin left thinking she was dead. And now here's a weird thing. I still feel it's a little weird because it's another example of look, here's this thing we just introduced and we're going to use it to and tie it into something that was already established before, but it is a mystery. So Yakushima is this place that they used to go to for picnics, for sparring. It was their like hangout area. And you do see that in stuff like as early as the 90s anime movie at the very, very end. And you see it in like Tag 1's intro. You see it in Bloodline on Netflix. Whenever Jin and Jun are together, it's always in a forest. So that's nothing new. But the fact it's called Yakushima and it's this Kazama like place, it was owned by their family for generations, that's new. That was made up for 8. Unless there were fucking hints that that's a place that existed in Tekken's world that we never know, that I don't know about. Like, the one thing that Tekken 7 did do that was really cool and clever is that there is the kanji on the floor of Heihachi's stage in 2, in Tekken 2. It's kanji that is Heihachi's and Kazumi's names together. But nothing was ever elaborated on that until 7, because 7's first trailer shows that kanji. So to bring that around full circle is awesome because you established it and it was an Easter egg back in the day. But like I said, they were forests. It wasn't Yakushima, at least as far as I'm aware, in the past Tekkens. Only in 8 did they establish this is the place. And so what happened was, after being Ogre, she went there and she heard the same lullaby that you hear Jin hear. I guess you experience Jin hearing in the story mode. And because it's this centuries-old thing and generation-long thing that the Kazamas own this place, and they have this weird link of we feel the goodness of the world or whatever. She's already a nature girl as it is. She kind of passed out there, like inside the tree or whatever, and just kind of lay dormant all those years, all these games, until 8. And so she was able to communicate to Jin through this ethereal powerness that they share because they're both Kazamas. So that's cool, and who knows? Maybe she was even able. Maybe she could have been able to communicate with Asuka that way, maybe, but she's not directly connected to her, so probably not. We don't know.
Because again, all that stuff, all that Kazama stuff's been like a mystery.
The thing is, yeah, we don't really. We've been, and I think that actually does lend into my theory of what might come in the future. But all this time right now, we've been resolving the Mishima shit. I think now it's time for the Kazama stuff.
I
that's what it feels like. This felt like a Kazama centered.
It definitely feels
story
like
mode,
that, yeah.
Whereas Sevens was Mishima centered.
Because again, the eight's like basic major plot point of it is Jin's redemption arc, and that's basically it. That's basically it. But to plant the seeds of like there's some stuff with the Kazamas now, and it's like now it's kind of focusing more towards that. So it's like, yeah, I feel like now, however many games it takes to establish it more, it's gonna shift from Mishima to Kazama stuff.
That's what it feels like. So from this point onward, yeah, spoilers. We're gonna kind of do another little pause. Fucking Devil Reina though, dude. Like, what the fuck? Oh my god!
I love our reaction to that. It's really good.
We didn't know.
I know.
I feel stupid for not knowing and not like trying to like kind of guess it ahead of time or like in my head, because so before Tekken 8 came out, there was a leak, and it was like 5 characters that were leaked. 3 of them I cannot remember. One was Azucena, and one was Reina. They were like, Azucena, this chick from Peru who loves coffee. Became exactly true. So then people were like, that one's interesting. Reina Mishima, Heihachi's daughter. And I'm over here like, that sounds fake. I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, like, we have so many fucking kids already. Like, why are you going to introduce another one? And then the trailer dropped, and we were like, well, if you know, you know. Well, fuck. Because some people didn't, like, you were, like, probably guessing, I'm assuming. But you didn't know.
I was
guessing,
see the leak. Well, I heard of the leak, but I don't remember hearing.
You didn't read the descriptions.
I don't think so, no.
I read the descriptions.
I didn't, because I made assumptions and I theorized a bit myself, but I never read or delved into anything involving them because I wanted to stay blind to the game. I was like, because my whole thing with leaks and shit, I'm like, I don't care what anyone says because anyone can make shit up and make it sound legit and it could be legit or whatever, but my whole thing is I don't believe a thing unless I see it in the thing that I'm looking at or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't believe it till I see it. That's been my whole philosophy for a while with leaks and shit. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Someone can make a fucking box art and pass it off as legit or whatever. But until I officially see it and it's like, and they show it off, then, so I made assumptions about Reina and it wasn't, and you can hear it in, our playthrough that I'm like, okay, so then now they're kind of putting a bit more emphasis on this seemingly random character or this girl that just appears.
Well, here's the thing, like with the fucking revealed trailer, knowing that I knew that Reina Mishima, like they don't hide it very well. Like they do, but they don't, because it did take a lot of people I've been watching and stuff. It does take them a while to kind of like start going like, oh shit, something's up with this chick. But like for me and other people who also probably read the leak, we were like, at the end, Kazuya being like, who the hell are you? And she's like, yeah, you'll find out soon enough. I'm like, they are not even trying to hide it. Like, why would she have an interaction with Kazuya knowing Heihachi's dead, or I guess as Tekken's calling it, missing in A? That was the other thing. Of all the things that we've been getting, these little hints at, and these things, the nuggets moving forward for what might be coming later, Heihachi's whole thing right now is that we saw him die, I guess, in 7. And Harada trolls a lot, but Harada said Heihachi's dead. Heihachi is dead this time. because it's like, you know, the insane lore of Tekken video and how they all say, everyone says, yeah, Heihachi seems like he's unkillable because there are so many instances where they're just insane and it's a fucking, you know, Japanese video game where they just avoid death. It's nothing to them. Like I said, Kazuya just walks out of that damaged copter with the flames all up and not even a flame on him, no embers, no scorch marks on him. He's perfectly fine. Heihachi catches a bullet in his teeth. He swats away missiles like they're flies. You know, it's whatever.
He gets blasted away from Hanmaru like it's fucking nothing. Like he gets
blasted from Hanmaru in 5, that the intro / like his ending or whatever, where it explains what happened to him, into, funny enough, a graveyard.
And he was just
gets
there.
He gets up.
He was just there for a while. Then he gets
a couple weeks, about a month.
And yeah, again, it was just after that tournament and stuff.
So it looks like he falls into the lava at the end of 7, but I guess in universe, the rest of the world doesn't see it as, okay, we have to just assume he's dead.
Because it's not.
The game frames Heihachi's death as a disappearance. Everywhere when it's the media and they're saying, like, because like I said, we have that Tekken 5 reference where Raven reaffirms to Victor that Heihachi is dead. But in all these other media outlet things in universe in the game, it's all he's missing. He disappeared.
Because again, the public wouldn't know. They would like it wasn't ever. I don't think Kazuya ever.
I just think it's like, weird, and I don't know because people are making jokes. Oh, he's gonna come back as a robot, or oh, Reina is him reincarnated or some shit. I was like, that's just fuck.
Funny.
So for her to be his daughter, and the thing is, I was thinking about it. Like the thing I think. You know what? I'll get to that later. I'm getting a little too ahead of myself. So, Reina's whole deal, I thought in hindsight, they did play it really clever when it came to how she behaved around them in the story mode. Because, first off, she's cute. She's hot. Whatever. Fuck it. I don't care, man. Everyone's been thirsting for her.
I mean, yeah.
But she plays it off really well because she looks like she's just like, hi, I'm here. You know, what's up? I went to the same school as you, you know, Jin. And so, there's that. And how you said, there's that, like, Gus Fring turnaround where when no one's looking at her, her expression just
changes ever so slightly. Slightly to where you then immediately pick up on something's it and you're like, she's plotting something. You don't know what, but she's plotting or thinking something.
And before I forget where the train of thought was going, like I said before, I'm actually mad at myself that I didn't figure this out sooner, that she had a devil form, that she has the devil gene, because you read her inner monologues in the subtitles and it's all about, you can bet your ass I'll be there to see how you get your devil powers back or your powers back. And then going up against Kazuya as the devil, as, you know, we'll get to that in a little bit, with Azazel, and she's like, all right, well then come at me then. Because she realizes at some point, when you're either near death or like whatever, that's kind of where it starts to come out. So she starts putting herself intentionally through this shit with Kazuya to be like, I even made a joke, like a Joker reference from Dark Knight, like, hit me. And I didn't think about it. Even when they show later, coming to the end, that she opens her eye and it's red, I still didn't fucking think about it. We're just like, oh shit, she's still alive. I didn't think she was gonna have a devil form.
I know, I didn't think either. That's why that reveal at the end, and we fucking lost our shit.
Didn't know. We didn't know.
So it was like, you know, that was genuine, like, holy
fuck. Oh, it's so good.
It was so good. I liked it.
But yeah, shit like these little things, and again, being reflective, all comes back to that philosophy. I think, and still managing to be trolls and put a little bit of dicketry in there. Kazuya in the story summons Azazel back, he's back, and then absorbs his power. But he's one of the bosses, Azazel, that you fight in arcade mode, and you have to fight him as Kazuya in the story. So you fight Azazel, and Azazel's like one of the worst bosses in Tekken history because of 6. He sucks in 6.
He was cheap in 6.
But the funny thing is, while he is actually made a little bit better in 8, he still has moves that can fuck you up if you're not ready for it. And he has that one fucking thing where he just gears up and this like shield thing happens, and if you get hit by it, it takes like, I'm not even joking. No, I'm so not joking. It takes literally 2/3 of your health.
Oh, I remember.
From a full fucking health bar.
I was like, holy fuck.
I am not over exaggerating.
It
is
literally a lot.
Actually 2/3. Yeah. It's 2/3. It's like, what the what? But retroactively, I think it's Tekken 8. I think it's Namco going, hey, you know what? Sorry for Tekken 6. But we're also not really sorry because you're still gonna fucking, you're still gonna die to him, you fucking noob. I can't believe they did that. The Mad Lads. Like, a lot of moments in this game can be...
Because it's funny, because...
classified as the Mad Lads. Yeah, because they've done it.
Because Azazel's referenced in 7, but... you would think, oh well, if you played 6
but
before,
the thing is,
it's like, oh well,
and that's what I was saying with Zafina being there and having the Azazel arm, and I'm like, I even read some of her bios from 6 and 7 before Tekken 8 came out, and I'm like, all right, so like the 2 stars crossing, whatever, colliding, that was 6, and it is Jin and Kazuya even in 8. That still rings true at the very end, but like with 6 establishing. Like the colliding and shit. And me going, all right, well, it's not actually resolved in 6. Like, it looks like it is. And that's what leads into... the scenario campaign leads... hold on. Into... I don't want to lose my train of thought again. Okay, sorry. It leads into 7 because of how Jin gets trained in the desert. But Azazel doesn't die. And the 2 stars colliding, there was no conclusion. So... they're still alive, both of them. And the thing is, either one, the thing that they were trying to propose at the start of this whole part of the conflict was either the Devil Jin needs to fucking leave, or like, and Azazel needs to be killed, but that can't happen unless one of them like dies or something, right? Or something to that effect. Or at the very least, again, the Jin needs to be taken out of both of them, and Azazel has to be at full power, and then if he's destroyed, then the whole thing is gone, right? This is before knowing about Reina. And so... I'm over here like, well, they gotta fucking, like, bring that back around at some point in 8, and then they do, because Azazel's back. So, like, it's finally, again, it's just things coming back around full circle, and things that they established coming back. It was something I wanted. So, there's that. There's Azazel. What the fuck next? Tekken Force? Tekken Force.
That whole deal, yeah.
Having the whole... I'm telling you, the 3 biggest, coolest, peakest moments of Tekken 8 in the story mode are the tournament, the Tekken Force moment, and the ending.
I would also
all of the ending.
Yes, I would also propose Jin's cleansing process, because that.
Well, going into that,
yeah.
But that leads into the ending bit.
Yeah.
And the cleansing process was cool, but like
that was fucking awesome.
The moment where he turns into, we're gonna get to that onward to the end, like that whole fucking segment was awesome.
But yeah, that Tekken Force mode was really cool.
The Tekken Force
mode. I also feel like they use it as a bit of an apology for 7's character episodes, because again, there are single fights in those with certain characters, but it's not like as if it's like those are the endings or anything like that. It's just
you're talking about like fucking Lon Paul or Azucena and Leo. That was pretty cool. It's a pretty big segment. It takes up like a good chunk of like the second half of the story.
Because if you've seen our playthrough, I sat through all of that, and I was like, I feel my legs giving out. I have to stand up, but this chapter's so goddamn long.
I'm trying to think of what else from that moment. That was really cool. And it was because it's all of the rest of Kazuya's like G Corp forces. Mixed with like everyone from Jin's side, and it's all the characters. There are so many more characters you get to play as in Tekken 8's story than 7's, because 7 you're Kazuya at some points, you're Heihachi, you're whoever else, Only a couple though, not too many, right?
Yeah,
You're
not really a
Akuma at
whole
one
lot.
point, I guess, and stuff like that. But you play as a bunch of different characters in Tekken 8 story, and it's not just for the sake of, well, we gotta throw some characters in there. Like, they all. The only time that feels like that is when the tournament's happening. But the tournament happens so that way, again, it's like Kazuya is doing the same thing that Jin was. It's on a smaller scale, but it still lends into. It still goes into what his goal is, which is just world domination. Because the stakes of Iron Fist 8 are, if you fucking lose, your country is going to be obliterated, and you're gonna die as well. So, yeah, that's pretty fucked. But I say it's small term because he still is doing what Jin did in 6. Because Jin's whole thing, again, just a small recap for 6, why he was doing what he was doing there was because to awaken Azazel, to try to obliterate Azazel, to get rid of the devil gene once and for all, Azazel feeds off of negative energy. So I guess Jin thought, I'm in control of the Zaibatsu. What better way to cause chaos than to start wars around the world, aka World War III, which is why a lot of characters in 6 and 7 have beef with him. Miguel, hi Miguel, hi reporter man, I guess. So there's that. Kazuya does it within the confines of the Coliseum they're in because there's all this purple negative juice coming from all the people there. But then having Zafina there, he takes her power, makes, I say makes Azazel, but rather summons Azazel.
Resummons.
And then fucking absorbs that motherfucker and becomes this true devil Kazuya. So that shit was insane.
The design looked even more. I would argue it looks a bit more crazier than the devil form from like
Blood Vengeance. It was on par with that because that shit was just insane.
Or even just the form from 7's story mode. Like looked in there.
It's just so funny because the parallels are there. The parallels to Blood Vengeance are there. Because after Heihachi looks like he's dead, in Blood Vengeance, the movie, it becomes Jin versus Kazuya, and it's this Jin devil Kazuya fight, which is how it starts. But then there's the cleansing process. Before that, hold on. The one other thing I want to say about Tekken Force, that moment anyway, the war there, is that it was cool that you got to play as different characters and stuff, and because too, it reminded me of a bunch of different things because this was not Tekken's first rodeo, of course, into like doing that kind of style. People were comparing it. People who didn't know the other modes of Tekken that did it like that were comparing it to like Dynasty Warriors.
That's what I said in the playthrough. And I don't know if you heard about. I was like, oh, this makes me think of Dynasty Warriors or.
I'm over here like this reminded me of 3 things: Devil Within, Devil Jin's thing from 5, Scenario Campaign, obviously, it even starts I think with Lars, and then Tekken Force. Like, it's just all 3 of those.
Yeah. I mean, it also made me think of that, too. But I think it was just more so the Dynasty Warriors thing because it's that formula of, like, take out all these baddies in groups and stuff by doing all these moves and whatnot.
But taking that style and, like,
it was so
again,
really cool.
integrating it into the story and doing it, it didn't really feel out of place because it's...
even going with being like, yeah, so here's all these Jack 7s. But what about Jack 8? Oh, Jack 8's the fucking superior version.
That was the special unit that they had to bring out, and he's
the big boy.
Yeah.
And he was still defeated.
But the gameplay, switching gameplay styles like that didn't feel unnatural to me because lifelong Tekken fans, I already knew those 3 other modes. I just thought it was cool how they did it. It felt like a do you remember this type of gameplay kind of moment where I'm just like, fuck yeah, I do, and it's awesome.
Because it wasn't as jarring as in 7 when you get to the part where
Lars and you're shooting a gun.
Lars finds Jin and is defending him from dudes, and like you can switch between fighting them and gunning them down.
It's weird.
Like it's so weird. And it's funny because once you figure out the option to switch,
but wasn't that also in Scenario Campaign? I can't remember.
No.
Was it not?
Scenario Campaign was just like Forest where you're walking around, beating him up and all that stuff. But like with, I don't know, for that part with 7, it was just like, it was, I don't even remember if that was the one thing where they try to change up the gameplay, but like it was there, and it was like once you figure out to switch between both, you most likely just stay in the fighting part because you're fighting one dude. You're not like you don't fight multiple guys there. They all come one at a time. So it's like, why would you even use the gun at that point? Like they use it, sure, but why would you? Because you can just charge at them and combo their ass.
That's where like some of the weirder character interactions come from. I feel, but like again, even if they apparently have beef with each other, like Dragunov and Victor and all them, Leroy and Fang, they for some reason they put those into the story mode. Not too sure why, but beyond that, I mean, the rest of it was really solid.
I guess it was just to be like, here's an established thing now, and it might be established more later or something. Like they expanded a bit more. I don't know.
And then like after that moment, like literally the rest of it's just Jin versus Kazuya, and it's while first going through the cleansing process, which is where I go back to what I was saying before, what I was going to touch on, where when Harada said we're going to go in a different direction with the ending of 8, no one's going to like die, I was like, okay, well, there's a couple things you can do. You can either find a way to imprison Kazuya somehow where he just can't get to anyone. You can, as I put it, Fire Lord Ozai his ass and just take that power away from him. And the other, sort of similar, but like whatever, like I didn't think at all they were going to do this, was, Kazuya also finds a way to be able to get redeemed as well, somehow. Because I already had in my head Jin was going to be redeemed. That's the only way I can see this, because they set that up at the end of 7 when they say you put the world through hell, now it's up to you to save it. So I'm like, all right, we're gonna be playing as Jin primarily. It's gonna be a story, and it is. That was like the one obvious thing. So as it turns out, yeah, all of that kind of happens. Not the whole Kazuya also finds redemption. I don't want that for him really. Even though like he technically should, because he didn't ask for any of this shit to happen. Going back to 7, he didn't fucking ask to be thrown off the fucking cliff at 5 years old. To say he had a rough childhood would be fucking not even close to he had a fucking awful childhood. But like, in fact, he didn't even have much of a childhood. I don't even remember I don't remember what happened after that. Like, between that space between when he was 5 and before Tekken 1, he just survived and then sought revenge.
And collected sneakers along the way.
I guess that too. But point being, so what happens in 8 is, yeah, Jin gets redeemed. He's a good guy. And then he finds a way to purify both himself and Kazuya to rid themselves of the devil gene. So that does happen. I thought it was weird that his tattoo didn't go away, because you pointed out, I would have missed it, I think, that the red in Kazuya's eye, which I didn't even realize that was a devil thing. Now, we've been seeing, I haven't said with Reina, we've been seeing that when their powers awaken or something, their eyes glow red. And that happens with Kazuya when he was 5 in the flashbacks when he was a kid. Because all they ever really said back then was he made a deal with the devil and then he has devil powers. I didn't know if it was because G-Corp revived him in 4, or if it was because Devil was helping keep him alive, where he had his single red eye. I guess it's devil powers, because 4 was the one that established he's able to control it now. And then in 8, when he absorbs his Azel's power, that's pretty much Kazuya at his most powerful. So for a while at the very end, after he absorbs his Azel, he has 2 red eyes. All this to say that with Jin, when his devil powers and stuff started to kind of show up, again, it's very esoteric, but in 3's ending, or rather at the end of 3's intro, it's branded onto him. And then you see the whole devil stuff happening at the very end. Like I said, it's esoteric. We don't even know what the fuck that meant, I guess, because when he purifies the both of them, and they're both rid of the devil gene, he still has that branding. It doesn't go away.
Yeah, he still has that tattoo or whatever. He still has that branding, but Kazuya's eyes are like normal.
Kazuya's eyes are normal. That's the thing you pointed out to me.
Yeah, because I immediately noticed that when it showed him in the shot, like the recreation of the trailer.
Yeah.
Because in the promo stuff, he still has his red eye, and even in that shot, he still has his red eye. So when I saw that his eye didn't glow, I immediately pointed out, I was like, oh shit, he truly doesn't have the devil gene in him because his eye didn't glow.
And the thing too, I don't think you watched. No, I did show it to you. What happens when you lose at the very end?
Yeah, he showed me.
So Kazuya, in classic form, throws Jin off a cliff, and then it cuts back to him in his office, and yeah, he does go through world domination. It's the bad ending or whatever, and he says, even without my devil form, I can still blah blah blah. So yeah, what is canon right now is that now, after 8, both Jin and Kazuya do not have the devil gene, and Azazel seems to be gone because of the fact that with the whole stars colliding thing that happened, that was Jin and Kazuya. So again, we'll double back into Rain in a bit. The only thing I want to say is I just want to know how the hell she has the devil gene and what's going on with that. That's of course we have to find out, but we'll say our theories later on by the end. So Jin's purification, that was fucking cool. That was the next part leading up to the third coolest moment. The references, going into 5 and 6.
Fucking when it was going to 5, I was like,
it was the cathedral music.
Yes, I was.
Which is where his Devil Jin.
That's Devil Jin stage in the
it's
game,
the music.
Which is really cool, and I think.
But then he goes into his Tekken 5 form in the next step of the process, and then it's reflecting because the whole purification process is reflecting on Jin's actions. And the reason why we get more 5 and 6 flashbacks than like 3 and 4, which was what I was hoping, like in 7 we were getting flashbacks of fucking Tekken 2, Tekken 3, Tag even, which was weird, Tag 1 and like 4 and shit, and 5 because it was their whole journey together and their feud going through all the games. With Jin, they were really zoning in, not really on his origins of where he came from necessarily. I mean, the June stuff obviously is there, but when they would flashback and shit, it was and talk about what he was doing and what he's done. It was always some of 5, but mainly 6 because that's where it started. It was arguably Jin's actions that started to get everything out into the public. Because if it wasn't for him, all the other shit in 7 wouldn't have happened. But because that was the largest scale thing any of them had ever done, was essentially start a
fucking world
war.
Yeah.
Most of their dealings and other stuffs were usually kept kind of on the down low because they were always doing shady shit, but it was always on the down low. So that was the biggest thing to spark all this controversy in universe with the Zaibatsu and everything else. But the purification process was more of Jin as a person. So, and also too, because even though Kazuya in 4 was able to like take control of the devil gene and the devil pretty fast, that part of it was canon, even though his full ending wasn't really that canon.
Yeah, it was pretty much just that first half of Kazuya's ending.
Well, because also that was that Jin? No, that was Kazuya. I'm trying to remember. The part where he's explaining it. There's a part in one of their endings, and it wasn't Jin. No, it wasn't Jin. Because Jin, he's chained up and he's holed up on the thing, he's in midair. And in his mind, that's what we see in Tekken 4. Because he's thinking of Kazuya, right? And then he's released. That's when he gains consciousness again. And so that was part of his ending. And that part did happen, obviously, because it leads into when he almost killed Heihachi and then saw June left, and that was 5. But I want to say it was Kazuya. So a part of it was canon. And I think it was Kazuya's
half of Kazuya
ending,
and then half of Jin ending, where those were canon.
Because it's him explaining, because his eyes were glowing, and he was explaining
because that was Devil controlling Kazuya and explaining that a part of him was in Jin.
Yeah,
because
okay.
And then when Kazuya absorbed or unified that with himself and gained
that was
control,
him being able to control
then it led into Jin's.
Because what he tried to do was take the gene from Jin. That's what he was trying to do.
Yeah,
and it didn't work.
Beat his ass.
Yeah. So, point being, sorry, that was all to say that Kazuya was able to control it fairly easily. Mm-hmm. It was a struggle, but he did it, and we didn't need a whole game to do it. Just that moment. Jin struggled with the devil gene because it didn't even awaken until he basically died. And it's always near death. It is always near death. With Reina, finding that out because Kazuya was thrown off the cliff at a young age. Jin was just shot in the fucking forehead, point blank, by Heihachi. And that awakened it. He was
shot multiple times by other dudes, but it was shot point blank by fucking Heihachi.
It was mainly Heihachi that did it for him. That is true. I forgot. He got shot multiple times.
Yeah.
So after that moment, it was just, okay, well, he's got the wings and shit, maybe, and that's about all. And then he'll have, the markings. It wasn't until 5 where it was really starting to come out, and then we got Devil Jin as a playable character. So the process, and I don't even know, there's certain things may or may not have even been intentional, because there was, references, because I said something in the Tekken 8 story mode where, in part 1, when he's having that Kingdom Hearts moment, and he says, I'm not like him, like Kazuya, and I'm just like, well, that's poetic considering Harang's ending in 6, where he almost gets consumed by Azazel's, core, and he starts turning into a devil, and he's like, I'm not like him, like Jin. So I just thought little parallels like that, but there was always the back and forth for Jin, am I good, am I evil, this or that, will it consume me, how do I get rid of it? So whatever devil, which is Devil Jin, but that devil entity in him, they were fighting. That was always that conflict, and that defined Jin as a character basically from 4 to now, and so if not 5 to now, and so the cleansing process, going back to that finally, is him having to look at his strength of being able to save and protect, because that was the one thing we're starting to learn he wants to do, since he couldn't protect Jun from Ogre. Then it's about the second stage where it's the 6 setting, Tekken 6, his final boss setting, which you pointed out, and it's the music as well. That's his final boss music.
Because even when you go around the stage and you look in the background,
it's the gauntlet with the world in it, the globe in it, and then it's Devil Jin as he looks in 5, because that's where it started. And then you beat him, and you see the fucking single white feather, and I'm like, that's 4. So that was awesome. And then it becomes more of, okay, because there's always the chain motif. He was chained up in Hanmaru. He has the chains as Devil Jin. So that's why 8's aesthetic is about chains. And so in breaking the metaphorical chains, that fucking segment was awesome. Because especially with the camera pan, and you're playing as Devil Jin, that shit was cool. Because then it was about Jin, kind of the other stages were him being okay with what he did and willing to learn from it, accepting it and moving on.
Living with his mistakes and moving on to correct them in the best way he could.
But then the last stage is more directly with the devil, and it's about Devil Jin learning, well, I can help you out in not just restoring the power that you're going to need to beat this motherfucker, but also the fact of, because that was the inner struggle. And just because we're in his mind palace as we're playing this, that is the struggle. So this is the end of that struggle. And it's Devil Jin even realizing, I'm not going to fight you anymore then. So he basically, what we played out was him coming to peace with himself. Which is reflected in the fact that then you get fucking black wing, fucking white wing, and that shit was awesome. That shit was amazing.
And even then, too, after that, then when he goes up, when Kazuya fucking is like, all right, well, I'm just gonna bomb this fucking place, and Jin tries to stop it. And then there's that moment again with Jun, and it has fucking
small moments.
And it has
the Tekken Tag 2 music,
the Heavenly Garden music. I was like, oh my fucking god! And that's when Jin, I guess, like fully.
But you have to remember too. Yeah, that's what you have to remember too. Before I get into like the big moment where there were other parts, and you probably remember if you saw whether recently or just remember it from the Laura video, where what's his name, Clement J or whatever, plays it off as him being like, because he goes, oh, he's like a sad emo boy who just wants to die now. But he shows moments where in 7 and 6 or mainly 7, and some of those endings or whatever, or rather just some of those, there's some bits, I think like Xiaoyu's ending or something has it where Jin just kind of gives up in 7. He's like, just fucking kill me. I understand that I did do a lot of bad. I can't fucking like redeem myself from this. I just want to die, right? So going from that to then him asking Jun, do I desire life? Or do I have the right to desire life? And then finding out like the whole Kazama thing of, well, that's the power. The power is, it's not just really like a nature thing, or like it's good energy basically, which like we've gotten like in Tag 1, uh, 5 with Asuka. So in doing that,
because it's supposed to be the direct opposite of like the devil stuff. It's just supposed to be a cleansing kind of thing, kind of like Claudio's, but a bit more than that.
Which, I mean, well, funny you say that because even Reina realizes that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, you know, then it happens with the cool heavenly music and shit. It becomes fucking Angel Jin, which was awesome to see.
I know, because I saw the way, like, seeing the way he's designed, I was like, he looks like a knight or a paladin or something.
Yeah.
But it looks cool. Angel Jin, just fucking amazing.
Thank you, YouTube, for spoiling me. So we were talking about spoilers that night. You leave to go to your room. I fucking flipped through YouTube.
I was walking away. I was about to open my door, and then all of a sudden I hear Marcelo go, "Motherfucker!" And he started yelling. He was like, "Son of a bitch! Are you kidding me?" And I'm like, "Oh god."
I saw it very briefly. It was they were in the air or back at, or in Yakushima, and it wasn't Yakushima. That couldn't have been, because he didn't turn into Angel Jin there. They were up in the air. In any case, there was a moment. I think they were in the air. From the cutscene.
I think he told me which specific part.
Yeah, it's him as Angel Jin, and then they put text saying Angel Jin, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, it was a day or so. The game had just dropped or something.
Yeah, it was literally like.
Or no, because that was when I had to leave to go visit Miharu in person. Went to go hang out. It was like a hangout sesh.
It was before. Yeah, it was before then. And actually, I remember that because I told you, I was like, hey.
It was after that.
Be careful, because some Weisenheimer was uploading everything about the fucking story mode days before the game released.
Yeah, saying like Tekken 8 ending and
just ending
cutscene.
Like, here's this cutscene and stuff, and it's like here's Paul and Law doing some funny shit, and it's like, dude, come on.
You know what I say to that? You know what I say to that?
Did you fart? Oh,
that was a weird fart.
I was saying, I thought your chair creaked.
No. Put a better fart sound effect in. I have to remember that now. So yeah, Angel Jin.
I was still, and just for the record, I was still blind to that. So like my reaction to it in the playthrough was legit. Like all of it was legit. So like I didn't see anything.
And then what else? I mean, yeah, that's the ending.
Because then after he transforms, like you said, it's then just Jin versus Kazuya, and that's basically the last bit of that story.
The thing is, right? Like, the thing is, like I said before, being able to play the trailer. I mean, technically in 7 you do play that first trailer too. Just it doesn't. The trailers show them in the like hellish volcano place, but the fight itself was all very blind to anyone who played it, because it's just how it plays out. But the cool thing is they baked the trailer almost beat for beat with the music, which is fucking awesome. And
at one point you had to press and hold triangle to get up.
But they recreate the trailer. They showed you the ending at the beginning with the first announcement trailer for 8. And I didn't think they were going to... I just thought it was a cinematic to show off the fact that it's Tekken 8. That's what I thought. It doesn't fully play out the way, it does in the trailer, but
it's very...
But the trailer plays out nearly beat for beat in the climax for the very end of this fight. And they touch back down to... we didn't mention, because so when he had his big fuck off ball of energy... Kazuya had
his evil spirit bomb.
Yeah, his evil spirit bomb. And Jin finally becomes an angel. He swats that shit away.
He chucks that shit into the ocean.
But then they're fighting.
And then they fight in the air for like a bit.
And then they actually end up where I think he dropped, it hit, because then it brings it all back up. So you have Angel Jin and True Devil Kazuya fighting. It's so anime, but it's so fucking awesome. And that's where that outer space stage comes from. It's into the stratosphere, because you're just in space. You have to have a big space fight. It's Angel versus Devil, and it's fucking cool. And then he does the purification on Kazuya, and the blast, the impact is so huge that they the devilness chisels away, and the angelness even chisels away, and you have just Jin and just Kazuya, and then that's they touch back down to Earth, and it's all rainy, and that's the first trailer.
Because then I guess the platform they're on, like where they fight, is still that rock, so that space rock, but now it's just that it landed back on Earth. So again, then you have that recreation of the trailer.
It was fucking awesome,
and they even had the fucking trailer music playing in that segment.
No, that's what I'm saying. The music, because that just plays even outside of the story mode. That just plays. That's just the
I know, but I'm saying for that moment,
yeah.
For that moment, it's that, and then after that, then it's like,
my God, no. So it's a fucking the very very end. Chapter 15 is a 5 or 6 part fight. You have 2 rounds with Kazuya where it's the trailer recreation. Then they're like, yeah, well, this is Jin's moment. He's awesome. He's redeeming himself. Here's a fucking epic recreation of his Tekken 3 theme. And he's going to do the cool little pose where he fits his glove on his hand, like in the 3 little intro bit on the PS1. Then he's going to fight in the Mishima style for 2 bouts.
Like he used to.
So it's his original moveset, and it looks fucking awesome. And they even recreated the Embu thing where he swirls around and hits him, uppercuts him. So that was fucking dope. And I'm like, all right. And then Tekken 2 happens. They cut after that, and you get, I think, a bout or 2 of them fighting, and it's the Kazama side. So now he's switching styles in this fight. So... because again, he's already coming to terms with himself, and he's taking everything he learned.
Because then when it gets to the part where he does the Mishima style, he says, "I'm not afraid to use it anymore."
Yeah, and you can tell by his stances. Even I don't know if you saw that. He has his initial style. If you remember the way his stance was, the way he stood, quote unquote, in Tekken 3 and tag, he's in that exact same pose, and then stance, and then. The moves are from Tekken 3. And I was saying this as we were playing. I'm like, this is great for people like Matt McMuscles or whoever else who were big Jin mains and Jin fans, because one of the biggest complaints about Jin as a character for the longest time was that their biggest complaint was the way he was being written and handled, because it was a different fighting style in universe. Canonically, he unlearned the Mishima style and learned more generic karate or whatever. And then going through what he went through. But, then you have 8 where... because you couldn't fight... You just couldn't fight as Jin with that old style.
That's why Devil Jin... That's kind of
But Devil Jin kind of exists to have that style back, but mixed in with devil shit. So Tekken 8 is the first time since Tag 1 where you could play as Jin... with his Mishima style, with his original Tekken 3 style. So that was fucking dope. And that was the whole Tekken 3 Jin moment. Then, because June, I guess, and because fuck you, we're gonna make you cry, there's this cool remixed version of the Tekken 2 credits theme, and it's him switching into the Kazama style. And that shit's awesome because he has like some of Jun's moves, like legitimately, during that fight, and that was fucking awesome. And then you just, I think, go into an amalgamation of like the 3. I don't know if you can switch styles like on the fly, or if it's back to like his Tekken 8 style.
I think it was back to his 8 style.
With my last stand playing from the Tekken 8 intro, and it's 2 bouts of that where you're like super like nothing can stop me, and yeah, nothing can stop you because you can, like I said, get a bad ending where you have to lose that final fight. But they start like auto giving you shit to stay in the fight. You also have 2 health bars, which I didn't fucking know. I thought I did. I thought I did it and got Kazuya to defeat Jin, only for Jin to go, "No, I'm still in this," and he gets back up. I'm like, motherfucker, really? You have another They wanted to make sure you did not lose this final fight, so it's actually hard to lose the fight.
It's actually hard to get a bad ending.
Yeah, you had to work for it, and I'm like, fuck, okay. But no, playing it normally, you know, on the channel, the shit was fucking awesome. And I mean, it was cool. It was really cool. You even had, and the small things, even to Heihachi's, you know, Kazuya's conflict with Heihachi, having...
Oh yeah, that was one thing I forgot. The fact that they even referenced 7 when Lars fought with Kazuya.
Yeah, having Heihachi there, like, the little flashbacks he was getting. Because, and that might...
Even, again, also doing the similar stances and similar things to where it was framed similar to how it was.
Jin saw Reina, and she had a very similar pose to Heihachi, and he recognized that.
The one with the hand in front of him, and that was this pose. That was his look
and then,
in 7.
Yeah, and then Kazuya kind of seeing Heihachi, because, again, Lars went to a different family. He's a bastard child, but he did come directly. He wasn't adopted. He came directly from... He is Heihachi's kid. So he has Mishima in him, but he's like the only like, well, no, he's not. Well, yes, he is. He is technically, despite not being named Mishima, he's a good Mishima technically. I mean, Lee was adopted, so he doesn't really have any Mishima in him. But because, like I said, he directly came from Heihachi, Lars does have that blood in him, but he's good, you know. So, but in that conflict, Kazuya saw Heihachi in him. Which was fucking awesome. But then Kazuya parrot what he said to Heihachi about like a fight's about like getting up or something and nothing else, right? Or a fight's who's left standing. And so that was cool to see. Just these little fucking tiny touches. And then Jin saying it's about survival because he just wouldn't give up. So it's shit like that.
And also their whole thing of like what their perspectives of what power is and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because I love that parallel as well. The fact that Jin did start by saying power is everything by 6 or so. And then in 8, one of his things he can even just say as you're just playing normal matches and you're with Jin, he'll say power isn't everything. So that's fucking cool.
Even having the hints at that very end, so like in that very ending cutscene to where Jin's just kind of, I guess, there or something. Like, I guess he's like, oh, or whatever. Like, I got rid of everything and whatnot. And again, it's still going to his redemption arc and stuff like that. But the fact that they deliberately were like, here's Kazuya's unconscious body. Then there's someone else there. And if you've seen,
that's true.
It's just
it's
good.
True. So that's the thing. So I love how they kind of give you that bit and then give you the video to watch. So you have to then go back and go, oh shit, she woke up.
Yeah, like so she actually like now is there and alive.
Yeah. So that's
she's now going to start becoming a lot more prevalent in the games now.
Yes.
Since, you know.
Yes. Yes. So before we end off, because this is a long one. Predictions. This is what happens in the ending. So
we might reiterate our predictions too.
Well, no. Here's what we're gonna.
The credits.
Yeah. So probably yeah. So okay. So like, let's stand back up again real quick. Okay. So they don't have the Devil Gene anymore. Reina does. It seems like Reina has the Devil Gene, and what that tells me is that she and Kazuya were separated at birth. Because at first I was gonna say maybe like we don't know who the mother is. I think I even said that initially. I said that in the
We did, yeah.
in the video in the finale. But then thinking about it more, I'm like, that can't be right because Lars. We don't know who Lars's mother is, but we know the father's Heihachi, but he doesn't have devil gene shit in him, and he's not, and he doesn't even bother to keep. Well, he didn't even know his father or his parents back then. So whatever family he was with, it was the Alexandersons. But even now, more than ever, now with finding out in Scenario Campaign that Heihachi's his father, he's not gonna fucking take the Mishima name, you know. So that's where that is with Lars. Like he'll help Jin and everything, and he's a good guy. But like, you know, despite having the Mishima blood because of Heihachi, that's just kind of where it ends. And he doesn't have the devil gene. So Reina had to have gotten it also from Cosme.
Yeah.
So
considering the fact that this is also the second time that a female character has the devil gene, because the first one really was Cosme. That's when we learned that Cosme had the devil gene in the first place.
Who the fuck even knows where she got it from? Like how? Because we find out that Azazel, at one point in time, from like way back in the day, he gave that shit away to like just a bunch of different people, and it was just a way to spread that chaos and whatever. So one of them had to have been a Hachijo, and it probably was passed down. So literally, it came from Azazel. The devil gene, as we know it, what it seems that they're telling us is that the devil gene came from Azazel, but bled through how we know it through Kazuya and them, bled through the Hachijos and came down to Cosme, who got with Heihachi. They had Kazuya, and what I'm going to assume and speculate also Reina, and it came to both of them. They probably didn't. Now they didn't know it, and that was one of the reasons why Heihachi threw him off the cliff. People kept saying it was a retcon. I like to see it as, because the original purpose was, oh, if you're my son and you're, you know, worthy of running the Zaibatsu one day, you'll climb back up, and this is a strength test or whatever the fuck.
That test your might, if you will.
But then in 7, Heihachi says, I didn't know if he had the devil gene in him. So this was the way to test it. It's fucked up. But, you know, no one knew. And now the thing is, what they blatantly didn't show was him having more than one kid with her. So what I'm thinking is they were separated at birth. So instead of having another last name like Lars or whatever, they are intentionally keeping her single named for right now, and it's just Reina, but we know now that it's Reina Mishima. And again, that was what the leak said. So whatever we're gonna, so I don't even know if we're gonna get a DLC story expansion or if they just literally set up Tekken 9.
To say, because my whole deal on that stance is I feel like they just set up Tekken 9. Because again, like how they handled the DLC stuff for 7, they didn't give the characters any establishing storylines or anything like that. They, I guess, explained them in their trailers or whatever, but that's really all you got. So, and I don't know, I feel like it doesn't make sense to save that kind of thing for a DLC thing. I feel like it would be
for sure
more established in like a game.
I just don't know for sure. I just don't know if they are at all planning that. You just don't really know, right? Yeah, here's the thing too.
Because even then too, real quick, I just want to say that even then too, when they announced Eddie as DLC, like they didn't say like, oh,
no, I know. You know. That's something we're still wanting, and that's something I kind of touched on at the beginning, but I didn't. Now we're saying it. Yeah, one of my hopes for 8, as it's still going with DLC and shit, is that how you were saying, like with 7, all the DLC characters that came, we didn't get fucking.
They didn't have a story. They didn't have
no
a
ending
or anything like that.
I hope that 8 does, because Eddie's coming in. I know of a few others I'm not going to say here that I'm actually kind of hyped for. One of them, the one I can remember at the moment that Fez told me, I'm like, oh shit, that's kind of cool. It's a veteran, but that's all I'll say. I'm like, okay, that's actually kind of awesome. And if they get a character thing, hopefully, their own episode or something, we can
show where they are in the universe
or whatever. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So if they do that, you know, I would not really see a reason why they. Not saying I even want it this way, because of course I do want to Tekken 9, but like I don't know why they would. But I'm saying realistically, there is probably the possibility that they could do a separate story expansion as DLC. I don't know if that's planned. I should also say that there's actually so this is kind of dated. This is a mess. There is, or there was at this point when you're hearing or watching this, there was a Tekken like presentation. We haven't seen it yet, but it's actually fucking midnight. It's midnight when it's gonna show. Where they're gonna talk about stuff, and I guess they're gonna do some reveals and shit.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
They're gonna probably show off some more of Eddie's stuff, give the release date, and they're probably gonna tease more characters. What else beyond that they're gonna show or do or whatever, I don't know. This is the first time Gerardo's like, so what did you think of the fucking game? And we're like, yo, what the fuck with the story? So I don't know how much he's going to talk about spoilery things like that. I don't know what they have planned, but I'll probably put something, if you're watching the podcast, which I don't know why you're watching the fucking logo go around for hours. I might have text, might have pictures, not sure. Might put some here. Don't know. But I don't know if they're going to go a story expansion route. I'm just saying the possibility is there if they decide to do that. They haven't before, but you don't know if they will now. Not sure.
I'd say it's there, but I don't see it being.
I would love for them to. Yeah, I would love for this to all be set up for Tekken 9.
I'd say because I would still like character establishments for these DLC ones for this game. But in terms of having like that, having a story
to see what happens next
and stuff like that, I don't see it happening. But if it does, then I'll be there for it. But I realistically don't see it happening because again, why would you? Why would you save?
But true, because they haven't done that before. So why would you start now?
Yeah, but I mean, again, if it does happen, then and then hey, it's happening. So we'll be there to see it.
I'm ready. If it's Tekken 9, I'm fucking ready, dude.
I'm so fucking ready. Dude.
Holy shit!
Because with how they've handled 8 so far up to this point, it's good. It's really good. It looks a lot. It's a lot more than how they did for 7, which again, 7's a good game, but
So what I want to see now, what I want to see. So June's awake. She's finally gonna reunite with Jin. That's gonna be fucking awesome. So we're gonna get
very emotional.
We're gonna get that. We're gonna get that. And that's gonna be good. I want to know what's gonna happen to Kazuya because that was June's whole thing. She did want to purify him, but she could never get to him the way she could with Jin, which is why she pretty much. Well, I wouldn't even say that she kept him from Jin or from Kazuya. He was presumed dead, so But don't think they would have had the three of them would have had the most functional relationship. I don't think so. She probably would have kept Jin away from Kazuya anyway.
Because we don't even really know why Kazuya was even attracted to Jun in the first place. All they know
she's
is that,
strong. Duh, the fucking ending.
I mean, I guess
he likes powerful women. He's into that shit. He wants a woman that can break his neck and step on him. Why do you think Rainer does it all the time? It's all about power. But I want to see what she does now. Like, with him not having that power, I want to know why she's going to confront him at this point. Because the whole thing, again, it's a spinoff, and for some reason they're referencing it in canon games. I don't know why. But in Tag 1, that was her ending, or someone's ending. I think it was Jun's. She purifies. He's devil, and he's unconscious. She walks up to him and purifies him, and it's Kazuya.
Because
that's always kind of been her thing. She wanted to help him, but could never get to him. And with him having, again, to quote Heihachi and Jin, the delusions of grandeur, with that all gone now, because he's just a normal person, I want to know what's going to happen with that. How are they going to deal with him now that he's not dead, but he is now powerless. He has no more devil gene.
Yeah, he doesn't have the devil power in him anymore.
It's weird to see, like how you pointed out that he didn't have his eye, his red eye. I'm like, dude, that has been so integrated into his character since 4 that this is the first time I'm seeing him look normal with normal eyes since I was a kid in Tekken 2. So that shit was crazy. Just even something small like that, I got attached to. I'm just like, damn, that's fucking powerful. That's crazy.
But yeah, to expand on that and show what he could possibly do after, that's a bit of a mystery because that's setup really. Because
That's just set up.
Even with what Jun's gonna do,
but I want to see. Well, I want her to reunite with Asuka. Jin, Asuka, and Jun seem to be the power
trio
group now. Because they've got this type of power, and it's something that's passed down.
And I'm curious if Jin's still gonna have that side of it, considering he doesn't have devil powers.
Well, I was gonna say. I was just actually about to say that the devil Jin came from a very specific source. It was Azazel, and with him destroyed, the only real remaining trace seems to be Reina. It seems like the Kazama thing with their power and stuff and how it's passed down. It seems like it's passed down. And it seems like it's just been its own thing. Going in a long line. And again, most of the Kazamas are wiped out. That's something that they said in 8. So the only remaining Kazamas are the 3. So that this is now more than ever their chance to really wrap Asuka into the rest of it.
Even more so the fact that Asuka even references Jun, being like, oh, so Jun is Jin's mother.
Looking at the family tree. She probably forgot that Jun was her aunt, right? Like, and that they're cousins. Like, she just found that out. She found it out in 6, actually, because I forget how she found out. I never saw it, but I don't know if it has anything to do with her being a part of 6. But she does find out eventually. That, because I read her bio at one point, like I did with Zafina, and it was like, oh, the man, she finds out the man that is causing so much pain is her cousin or whatever. And it's like, oh, surprise. but now we get what we've got set up. It's very apparent setup of what I want to see. Like I was saying, with we already have Zafina. Zafina did her job, and that was cool. I actually got more of her, and she had a purpose and all that, so that was fulfilled. So I can check that off the list for me. Asuka, I think, still needs to be involved because now that we've got Jun back, it's the 3 of them. So that hasn't been fully checked off yet, but it's close. The setup is very apparent now. So I want it to be less of her bickering with Lily, unless they just keep it on the back burner like they did with this one. If anything, Lily has more to do with Azucena because tea versus coffee. So that was actually kind of funny. That ending is hilarious. That's Azucena's ending. But like I said, Tekken 8's doing a lot. There is still some setup there. Reina is just there for setup, but to see where they go with it's going to be very interesting. And I know why they left her kind of on the down low. Not the reveal of her being a Mishima, but the sense that, or the fact of her doing shit and having ulterior motives in the background in the story. So that way, and I think it was their way of not juggling a whole lot, because a lot happens in the story. In the same way that a lot happens in 7's story, about we talked about the disjointedness and stuff about that. But here it's more of, it's Jin's conflicts, him fighting Kazuya, Jun still being around, Azazel. So it's thing, if I didn't really say it, Jin's redemption. So it's all that stuff that they're juggling, but they found a way to do it without having to over-explain or just make shit up like, well, I'm here because I was waiting or something, right? Like,
not some dumb shit like that.
But
which again, the way that they handled 8s and the way it flows and stuff, it fits and it's nice, and like it made sense.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's also just because they were, now it's just like, it's Jin and Kazuya and stuff like that, so they kind of focus on. They felt like they're more focused on like that, while still having some other stuff in the background and stuff, without it being too underwhelming.
Yeah. Oh, because it was not underwhelming at all. There were plenty of moments that were just...
There were definitely a lot of...
Because there's a lot of action. Again, it was action, then some slow moments, some build-up, some setup, more action. So they balanced it out very well.
And again, I feel like that's also with the exclusion of a reporter and stuff like that, without those breaks of monotonous voice being like, I did this and did that, went here and did this research.
But the thing too, now that I want to know as well, is what's going to happen with the dynamic, because again, now we have to know what's going to go on with Kazuya, but now the big bad seems to be Reina. So like, where is that going to go? Because the entire story, like we're literally shifting focus. We're literally moving the story along because for all the games, it was the Mishimas with some Kazama in there. But it was always the Mishimas, and the only remaining one right now.
Yeah, it was always the Mishimas in the forefront, and everything else just kind of there.
But the only one now with that power is Reina. But like, I hope they don't see. I want to know what the reception is going to be with what they do next, because I don't want them to end up like actually backpedaling to be like, shit, we're sorry. We changed too much. If like Kazuya doesn't have any power anymore, but Reina does. But now it's about the Kazamas, and then whoever else is going to come to the forefront in this potential Tekken 9. Because we've already phased out the conflict of Heihachi versus Kazuya. Heihachi is dead, and I'm hoping they stick to that. So that's done. Kazuya still had his power. So with 8, it was Jin versus Kazuya. That is now resolved. They're still alive, which means they can still be in the story, but as far as we're concerned, the only real Mishima left to deal with is Reina. So Mishimas are just kind of sort of swept away now because we're kind of all done with that. So if we're done with that, and the Kazama stuff might still be relevant at the forefront, but it's going to be a different dynamic because now not even Jin has his powers anymore. Like, what is going to happen?
Yeah, because now it's less of
are they going to purify Reina, or even at what's going to happen?
Yeah, because now it's more de-emphasized of like a father and son having this conflict after all these years and stuff like that, and now it's like there's another one like that, but it's not the forefront, and now it's more like
because there is no more father-son like rivalry anymore. That both of them, the biggest ones, like are done. So now it's just here's the kid, I guess, of one of them.
Here's the next generation. Here's another next generation, I guess.
I don't even know if that's where they're gonna go with it. That's what I'm saying. I hope that they don't like make a decision like, so then the Devil Jin and Reina spreads around and then Kazuya has it again or some weird bullshit just to keep it because of change, right? Like they fear change. People fear change. So like, if it changes too much, the fans are gonna be like, well, fuck, right? Like, well, this isn't Tekken anymore. In the sense, like maybe the game is the same, but like the story Tekken is like one of the first off, it's the longest running video game story. It has the world record for that. This shit's been going on for 30 IRL years. First off, that's insane. But Tekken's story mode and story and conflict with all its characters is the only one I have followed and 2 understand because of 1, me following it. From being a kid playing Tekken 2 and then growing up with each game as they came out, right? So like Street Fighter's story is fucking weird. Mortal Kombat's story is fucking weird. Virtua Fighter, I don't even know what the fuck's going on with that. Other fighting games are just weird, have weird stories. Even Smash's story has been getting fucking awkward and just introducing villains and weird shit with Master Hand. But Tekken's has always been very digestible for me.
It might not always be consistent, but it's enough to. They give you enough to where you can still follow it along, even if you don't.
And I'll put it in the description if you want to watch that Lore of Tekken video. It's like one of his. It blew the fuck up because he uploaded it. He made it at a very timely. Well, it was very timely when it came out because of the fact that 8 was on the way. So he recaps 1 through 7, and he does it very well.
He does this where he doesn't. It's
he has his YouTuber jokes and shit, but when he's explaining shit and how he weaves other characters and stuff in, so you get to know them. If you're not like us and you didn't grow up with them to get to know them, it's a very like understandable.
It's simplified. It's simplified to the point where you can still follow it along.
You get it.
If
and for me, Tekken's characters, most of this gigantic roster are very memorable. That's why they keep bringing a lot of the same ones in though too, so that way you don't lose the familiarity. So you've got Yoshimitsu's going to be in every fucking one. I love my boy. He looks so cool in this game. They're gonna have. I'm hoping they're gonna continue to have Kazuya and Jin. Heihachi's actually dead. That's fucking insane. They killed off one of their main characters. He is a main character. He's been in every one, even spinoffs. This is, I think, legitimately I want to say this is the first Tekken anything to not have Heihachi in it.
Yeah, I would say so.
This is the first. I'm talking like Tekken Advance, 3D Prime Edition, the fucking card game.
Because literally in everything, he's there. Like,
if it's not Jin, I think it's Kazuya and Heihachi that tend to make cameo appearances in other Namco games. Mm-hmm. Pac-Man Fever, fucking that Namco versus Capcom, or sorry, Namco versus... No, it is Capcom. There's that too. No, but in anything that has to do with Namco and they put other characters in, he was the guest character for the PS2 version of Soul Calibur 2. It's Heihachi. He is a big fucking character in the fighting game space that you'd recognize even if you didn't play Tekken. Mm-hmm. He's gone. That motherfucker is gone. So like
I'm sure he'll still be there for the spin-off games because those are non-canon. So it's like
whatever. Oh sure.
But like in terms of the mainline story stuff and all that, he's gone.
He's gone.
He is actually literally dead.
Sorry, he's missing. And I hope they don't turn heel and go.
I was gonna make a joke.
Oh, when suddenly the hand comes out like Tekken 2, but it's out of the lava and he survived. Like, no, don't fucking do that. That's what I'm saying. Fear changed too much. I don't want the fans to be like, oh, petition, he needs to survive. Like, no. Like, the fact that if they really do intend to keep this...
Make him an undead skeleton man.
Or a robot man. If they really do intend to keep this going as, like... But if they do intend to keep the storyline going, and it really, truly is the longest running video game storyline, and they keep it going, then yeah, this was like the whole... I mean, it was called this in Tekken 7, but this was like the whole Mishima saga. Mm-hmm. So now this could be like the Kazama saga. Of like, well, now where do Jin and June and Asuka go? Can they stop Reina? Will she be like the big bad? And it's just their conflict or whatever. And she's technically fucking Jin's aunt. That's weird. Anyway. But it makes me excited. Tekken 8 is a really fucking good game. It is the freshest feeling Tekken that I think we've had in a while. And I can't wait to see more.
Yeah, at this point,
I feel like they've gotten their Tekken 8 : how the series got its groove back.
yeah, because it's like at this point now it's just where are the characters going to go from here on out?
And it's energetic,
especially with the fact of like again having a prominent character from a game years ago now being brought back into the fold of things. Like how is Jun gonna be like seeing everything and whatnot? Like we don't know. So it's
like from even a more generic perspective now, because I want to wrap up. I've been talking for a long time. The game is energetic and it has a lot of personality and a lot of flair.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And like I said before too, I don't even think I finished that thought from talking about how they put the tournament into the story mode and all that shit. How you get the sense, kind of, that it's a sporting event in other games. And Tag 2 was the first one to make it feel like this one makes it feel like it's just like a sporting event.
Yeah, even more so with the fact that they had the announcer from the character trailers for that segment.
They baked her in as well. We found out it was this 60-year-old woman. I thought who is known in the Japanese fighting space IRL. She's been doing announcer shit like that for years with that same voice for like almost 30 years at this point.
Yeah, so apologies for us referencing
we thought it was a guy.
As a guy, because that's what I thought. Like we literally thought it was the exact same thing where we thought it was like an older Asian man.
We thought it was some weird Asian guy.
That's
we were just assuming.
That's literally what I thought, and then you found out, and then you showed me, and I was like, holy fuck.
It was the King Dice situation all over again. Because when we first played Cuphead, we thought King Dice, or the singer for the song, was a black man. It was a black lady. Didn't know that. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's still a damn good song. So
So I had no idea that that announcer was a 60-year-old woman, but she fucking killed it.
Yeah, and
she's awesome.
Even more so in the story for that.
Because I remember saying, okay, I was like, this is going to be Tekken 8's announcer like in the game, right? Like I was saying, like if this is the announcer all the time, it's not going to be as like quote unquote serious, because all the other announcers were just these generic dudes before 4 anyway, or after 4 rather. Because Tekken's earlier announcers were like super awesome and very arcadey. 4's was just a vibe, and then 5's onward. 5 to 7 was like, okay, it's just a generic guy, right? Will Mokujin ever
be free?
Be free? Or Anna saying
that bitch.
Anna saying that bitch. So it was like a generic announcer, man. And I'm over here like for 8, hearing her, I'm like, so this is the announcer for 8. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna like that. If it's this, like it's energetic. It's a little too energetic for like being a consistent announcer. But there's a normal announcer, man. But baking her in, bringing her in to the story mode, that was fucking cool. Because there were actually multiple announcers. There was a Japanese guy who didn't speak English, who was narrating the tournament before the finals. And it's when he first meets Reina, Jin first meets Reina and shit. That announcer says the ready, fight or whatever, and you win or KO. It's that announcer. So there were, and that was something that even Mortal Kombat 1 did, which I don't think we ever talked about. Liu Kang at one point is the announcer. Sindel's the announcer in the story mode.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you go back and listen to it, wherever, because like when you're first, when they go to Outworld and it's Liu Kang, and it's all of them. It's like Johnny and Kung Lao and all them and Raiden, and it's Raiden versus like Johnny Cage and all that. Remember how they were doing that? It's the temple or the dojo. That announcer is Raiden.
Oh.
And then when you go to Sindel's place, and you're proving yourself to her and everything, she's the announcer in that stage. She's the announcer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That shit's fucking awesome.
That's cool.
So likewise, Tekken 8 did that, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed that, but I didn't call it out during your playthrough. I was like, oh, that's a different announcer for that segment.
Yeah.
It's still, it's still cool. It still fits with the story and everything.
So that's pretty much it. I think that's it.
Yeah. It's just where's the story going now? Who fucking knows?
But if you're a fighting game aficionado, you haven't really tried Tekken out that much, get 8. Get 8. you're gonna enjoy it. It's a vibe. It's really cool.
It's its own
vibe. That's pretty much it. Do you have any closing statements? Just where's it gonna go from here?
It's pretty much it. Because I guess also just I hope that they handle the DLC well.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
And again, I don't see.
I can't wait to play as Eddie. So
yeah, let's say I'm not sure who they're gonna bring in. Like I'm sure I would like for it to be veteran characters and not.
Can I tell you one? Can I tell you the one I know?
No.
Please.
No.
Okay. Damn it.
Yeah, I just hope that for as interesting as it was bringing in guest characters for 7, I kind of don't want that for 8. Honestly, I don't want. If
that was the other thing we forgot to mention. I was gonna say like the fact that
like it was interesting to have original characters as DLC, but at the same time it felt kind of weird because it's like why not just have them in the base roster in the first place?
No, for sure.
But the fact that for 7 it was mostly veterans and then having the guest
people from
like
and whoever
Nocturnal Luscious Calcium and whoever else.
But no, for 8 being mostly veterans. A couple specific characters from 7 to continue their stuff, and they bait them in very well to everything going on.
And then having the 3 new characters.
Which are memorable and fucking cool and great to play with and stuff. Already a step up from like, Gigas
and within the world of Tekken.
Josie
and not have fucking Akuma.
But, okay. Chill out, calm down. But no, like I said, it's solid. 8 is solid. It felt very reflective on like let's just kind of like listen
kind of dial it back a bit,
and kind of dial it back.
Yeah. But with the DLC stuff, like I hope that they keep the DLC characters to just veterans, and they bring in just a bunch of like or like however many they're gonna feel like bring in because it's like what 4 or something.
We don't know right now. There's 4 with Eddie being 1, and we don't know how far they're gonna go after that. Because at that point we might be talking seasons, but I'm not sure.
Well, they do go that route.
Like with 7.
I'd rather they just stick with veterans. Like it's interesting having the deals like guest characters, but at the same time it's like it's kind of weird for 7.
But where's Tifa?
But yeah, it's just seeing where they take the DLC stuff. However, they plan to make 8 a bit better. and then just seeing where the
stretching.
just seeing where the story goes from here on out. Again, I don't see a story expansion, but if it does, hey, you know.
Tune in next time. Oh god, it's good. It's
I love Tekken.
Good. Yeah, can't you tell that we love Tekken? So
we
good.
talk about it for 2 whole hours.
2.5.
It was like the same thing for our Tekken podcast.
Oh! Yeah. Tune in next time, and we'll talk about not Tekken. Unless Tekken 9 gets fucking shown off in like 2 years. I'm gonna fart.